Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew Studio. When you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third for free with promo code MyWorld. You'll also receive an additional 10% off plus free overnight shipping on your first order at BlueChew.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, Conrad Thompson, ever since a couple of weeks ago when you berated me, talked down to me, smacked me around like your little bitch and said, people don't want to hear about Cats football or Springfield Lucky Shoes baseball or any of the other side projects. Let's just talk about wrestling. Well, Connie, today, I hate to tell you, pal, maybe we need a little Queen, a little We Are the Champions playing, but no, all kidding aside. Saturday night, Conrad, I'm a third generation promoter, but this is my first year in arena football, and man, oh man, it's a completely different feeling. Obviously, true sport, but the sport of putting people butts in seats. We had a full sellout house at Clarksville F&M Bank Arena. The Cats, which was a rematch of last year's AF1 crown, the arena crown, came to Middle Tennessee area Saturday night. My God, Conrad, what a dadgum game. We were up 20, then they brought it back and tied. It was a roller coaster. We were down going into the fourth quarter. I did a few shenanigans, had a lot of fun, but they fought back. And I got to tell you, Coach Arbette, which is, I don't throw this term around loosely, he really is the GOAT of arena football coaching. He said at the beginning of the year he wanted his thumb ring because he already had 4. He got his 5th Saturday night. So to be a part of it, and Coach Fisher, his vision, and they just went out and got incredible players. Obviously the coach, and to coach arena football, it's not coaching 11-on-11 football. It is a different game with nets and speed. And, the week before we put 92 points on the board, but to see those kids come together, and it's a 6-month journey and it's a grind, and they all came together, and man, oh man, they got the W. It was a super cool game. All the owners of the AF1 were in town. It was just a lot of fun. Karen, my mom, my stepmom, Karen's mom, kids. It was a whole family affair, and different folks that have come on board from an investment, from a sponsorship, from an advertiser point of view. And obviously, first and foremost, the fans all coming together. We had an original OG fan there, Eddie Mack. Shout out to him. He was a fan of the Nashville Cats in 1997. So it's an emotional journey, if you will. The 29th year of his fandom, he got to see a championship. So a lot of emotions running high, but Coach Arbette and his crew, and Tyler Kolka, the MVP, the QB of the team, and Malik Honeycutt, just an unbelievable human being, but a hell of an athlete. He got him a couple of TDs. But Connie, it was really fun to see the excitement and just all. It was a full season worth of work, production, the F&M Bank Arena crew. Just when it's a big, and the ticketing folks and the marketing folks and production, and the field's got to go in and field's got to go out. You got practice, and you got Austin P. Just so many different moves. My man, Jason James, he came on board the second game as the host and didn't miss any, and his value to the project. I could talk on and on about that, but it is a part of my world. So pardon the pun, but man, Conrad, I think in a lot of ways, the smile on Big Cody's face when he was on the field and knew that we had won, to me, that said it all. It was so cool. But yeah, it's great. We have a victory celebration. If you're listening to this, it's on Tuesday at 5:30 right there at the Commons area, right across the street.
It's later today, right?
Yes. Yeah, today. 5:30, 7:30. The way City of Clarksville is kind of laid out. We were thinking about doing a short parade, but they said, man, just put it all in the Commons area. So there's going to be fans and food trucks and party celebration and a couple of guest speakers and just a big victory celebration that we're calling it. So it's really, really cool. man, hats off to Coach Fisher and everyone involved.
What a cool story, man. When you first announced your involvement, and now it doesn't feel like all that longer. All that much later. Ta-da! Bam! You guys are the champs. What's next, Jeff? Like, who would have thought that you would have had such fun doing this, and it would have been such a hit?
Well, it's hard to follow a championship, so I don't want to even think about that till next season. We'll kick off next season, but celebrated. I think the one thing about and Conrad, this is where from a business, and we haven't, me and you offline even hadn't talked too much about it, but it's a startup business. The entire league is only 3 years old. The other league that is out there is, I think, over 20 years old. So we are a startup league, and we had new owners come into town. They've got an Austin team that they're going to launch next season, but from kind of the startup mode. And when, Conrad, you've done this, when you sell sponsorships and advertising and people getting on board, you're in a lot of ways, you're selling a concept as opposed to hard data and numbers. Well, as the season grew, and to finish the season, every game, this doesn't happen everywhere in arena football. Our audience inched up just a little bit. We had a game actually on Father's Day weekend, which we didn't just survive, we thrived. And that could have been kind of a hiccup. We had just different things throughout the year, but it built and built and built and built. And I do say it all, everybody loves a winner. And so our job is to entertain them around that fact. But man, the city of Clarksville, Montgomery County, they have embraced it. The Preds organization, they manage the building. So the Preds organization has obviously embraced it, but really got a nucleus of folks that just dug in deep. The awards were given out Friday night at the banquet, and our Lady Cats, the dance team, they got the league-wide award as far as in-game entertainment. There were multiple other awards given out that the Cats received, but it's everything off the field's right up my alley. So I still look at it as a startup business, but man, to walk away with a sellout house and all the data that we have now and the excitement and the buzz, before long, season tickets will go on sale. We're working through all that right now. So, Conrad, it's a new adventure, and that's one of the things I'm grateful for. At my age, to be somewhat in a new, putting on events is not new, but arena football is brand new to me. So, a lot of fun, and it's exciting.
How proud do you think your dad would have been to see what you were able to do this year?
No, you're going to get me. I knew you were going to get me. No, my stepmom there, he loved to try. He just, if there's one thing that was kind of his calling card, and I know with Tony and Heritage Auctions, we've kind of touched on that with his scaffold match jacket and all that, but he loved it. And maybe it was somewhat out of boredom, but for the most part, he's just like, Jeff, you cannot live on yesterday. People do not, they want something new always. And so I've kind of carried that through my career. So for me to, and I've said this story on local radio, Coach Fisher had reached out to me going back about a year. And I was like, Coach, I don't know how you want me to help you. I'm not a football guy. And he would call or text and just kind of gig me here and there. And he got really serious last fall and said, hey man, you don't worry about football. I want you to figure out how to put on the event, market it and produce it. And so I said, okay. And Karen's like, what the hell are you doing? But I am so grateful that I kind of took a leap of faith. In essence, it would be absolutely right up my father's alley. And it's cool to see my stepmom there, and she got to take it all in, and she had never been to a game. And that's, Karen's mom went too. The game of arena football is trash talks for sure, because the players are right beside the fans, and so the fans are giving them hard. The opposing team is obviously the heels. Ice hockey and the smashing on the boards, but the game of football, it's very similar, touchdowns and all that, but you can score on the kickoff because it's only a 50-yard field and you can score 2 points. Our slogan is the ball never dies. There are so many innovations, if you will, in the game. Man, Conrad, he would have had the biggest smile on his face, and then he'd called me over and told me about 10 things I did wrong, and then 4 or 5 ideas how to go make more money. So I wish he could have been there.
Super cool. So happy for your success. And I love that you actually got to put a little double J on the action over the weekend. Let's take a look. In theory, it'll go. What are you doing? You just can't help yourself, can you?
Connie, the building exploded. they loved it. They loved it. A heel fan from the Albany Firebirds, and
a heel fan. Listen to you. You're beating up fans now. I love it. A heel fan.
Tell me you didn't entertain. Tell me you weren't entertained by that kind.
No, I was entertained, and all I could think the whole time was, when are we just going to get a Jeff Jarrett tutorial on punches? I could watch Double J punches. I know I'm not alone either. Shout out to Andrew Dice Clay, who I know is a big fan.
Conrad, let me just say this, and we'll move on. Every owner was in the arena and kind of watching all the game presentation. And then if you saw the clip that the fan came down, and we had two other Cats fans, let's just say under their breath, looked at that fan and said, MFer, if you don't get out of here right now, you will regret it. And that fan, wink, wink, went, how are we gonna work around this? Those two fans stepped in and they had my back, and we were off to the races. Conrad, it was a sight. I'll just say that. It's a lot of fun, man. I will say, Conrad, we were down 3 going into the fourth quarter. We had a little rally after that little wrestling bit. So it was fun, man. It was all about entertainment and game presentation.
Wait a minute. Hang on. Did you just insinuate that the team gave the hot tag to Double J and you and the mascot put a planted fan, or a shoot fan, a heel fan through a table, and that's what won it?
Conrad, of course I'm going to say no.
I love you.
Hey, I will say that a player, well after the celebration, came up to me and said, hey, man, we all loved it. I said, you're not supposed to be watching. We're like, hell, we ain't. We watch everything y'all do. But he said, man, that was a good little shot of adrenaline. So I said, thank God you guys weren't winning going into the fourth quarter and might have lost the game. Then I'd have been really the bad guy of the place. But it was fun, man. It really was. I will say this: the fandom, whether it's wrestling or arena football, whatever it is, man, there are some super, super passionate Cats football fans, and that is, to me, that's what touches my heart, to just see people dig in and our merch. As far as a business side of it, we set a record. It was our biggest night of the year. That's hard to do in this same arena for our 9th game, because people have jerseys and have hats and all that. We had some new items out. Matter of fact, we had a new shirt, new hat. and it sold. And that kind of hats off, pardon the pun, to the Cats Nation.
I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to seeing how you can follow this up. But it's not lost on me that everybody wants to buy the merch now because you guys are winners. You're champs.
That's
and right. I tell you, I wonder with the luck you've had, with this new renaissance from Dark Side of the Ring and now the championship, I think what you need to do today is go register at Ridge. You already know Ridge because they make amazing power banks and wallets and luggage and all your premium everyday gear. But buddy, they're back with their legendary sweepstakes for the 6th year. And I think this time it's bigger than ever. Now the sweepstakes runs from July 24th all the way through September 8th. And Tony Hawk is the official spokesperson. So it's going to be insane this year, but not one. Now 2 lucky winners will get to choose between a Lamborghini Huracan Storado, a Ford Hennessy Velociraptor, a souped up Ford Bronco, or $100,000 cash. Sign me up for the Ford Hennessy Velociraptor. I mean, I could see me tooling around the lake in that. And let me just tell you, there's only 1,500 of these Storado Lamborghinis that exist. This is the Lamborghini off-road supercar. You heard me, a naturally aspirated V10. It's got 610 horsepower. But the Velociraptor truck, dude, 558 horsepower twin turbo. It's like an all-American muscle car, but with an all-terrain truck. Come on now. How about the custom-built Bronco? It's coated in scratch-resistant Kevlar armor. You're going to be riding high on 37-inch off-road tires. But $100,000 cash? Come on now. What would you pick? Here's the best part. You can enter completely free today at ridge.com. There's no reason not to enter. Why not take your shot? And if you want to boost your chances, you can earn additional entries by picking up Ridge gear during the sweepstakes. Whether you're looking for a power bank or the wallet or the luggage or something else you've had your eye on, you get extra entries with your purchase. The power bank is a game changer in the Jarrett household. It's built for modern life. You can charge the whole family up. Whether you're looking for Lightning or USB-C or wireless charging, it's got built-in cables, MagSafe compatibility, and it'll get you 3 full phone charges. The Ridge 2.0, it's also their most refined wallet yet. It's even 10% lighter. And they've got a brand new tracker card that works with Apple Find My, so you can track your wallet, ring it when it's nearby, and get alerts if it ever moves out of range. No matter what you pick up, Ridge has free shipping, 99-day risk-free trials, and 100,000 plus 5-star reviews. If you're ready to upgrade your wallet and maybe your ride for a limited time, head on over to ridge.com and use the code MyWorld. You'll get 10% off your order and a chance to win Ridge's biggest sweepstakes ever. A Lamborghini Huracan Storado, a Hennessy Velociraptor, a Ford Bronco, or $100,000 in cash. No purchase necessary to enter, but every dollar you spend gets you more entries. That's ridge.com. Use the code MyWorld. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. And Jeff, Ridge really is the real deal. I've actually got my phone plugged in right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Here's the phone case that's been on my phone for as long as I can remember. And check this out. Bam. I'm good to go. It's got my personal card in it. It's got my business card in it. It's got my ID in it. I'm good to go. I've had fantastic luck with it. I did have a warranty issue. I sent them a picture, told them the story. 3 days later, I had a brand new product. It was unbelievable. I can't live without it. Can't say enough good things about Ridge. But there's a lot of people who have some bad things to say about AJ Styles. Have you seen this controversy, Jeff?
Okay, Connie, my weekend was super busy, and yesterday was even more busy. I thought Sunday I was going to have off. I won't get into all that family stuff and then some AEW. But Karen asked me, and I don't know, Silva, if you've got me and Karen did the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. But as we were getting ready for that, she said, "What the hell's going on with AJ?" And I said, "I have no idea." And she said, she kind of ruffled, and I said, "Oh, it's probably BS." Tell me about it.
So I'm sure you're familiar with Eric Cannon, the longtime independent wrestler who does a fabulous job with his own promotion. I mean, probably when it comes to putting on good shows and packing them in the building, he's got it down pat. I mean, he is a veteran of promoting, we would call it non-national television products. So a well-respected guy. He even got a shout out from the SummerSlam postgame stage by CM Punk. He says, "Hey, where the hell's Eric Cannon at?" So a lot of love in the independent wrestling community. Well, Natty Neidhart, as you know, her and her husband, TJ Wilson, they've really been getting the modern dungeon going. And she spent some time on social media over the weekend bragging about Avery Styles. This is the 19-year-old son of AJ Styles, who's chasing and pursuing his wrestling dreams. We showed you a few clips of him a couple of weeks ago. Yep. He's only had a handful of matches, but the entire independent wrestling world has all eyes on Avery Styles. And she went out of her way to put him over. She talked about him paying his dues. Here's exactly what she said. I was able to go to GCW yesterday and watch Avery Styles and one of our dungeon students, Marcus Mathers, wrestle, and they blew me away. They blew me away. They're so young and they have so much presence and they just love this. They study it. They think about it. They eat it. They sleep, breathe, fight, scratch, claw, and want this. So after their match, I went up to Avery Styles and Marcus Mathers because Marcus had already trained with us in the dungeon. And I was like, man, Avery, I would love to get you to the dungeon because I just love his passion. I could feel his passion pouring through his soul, and I loved it in the match. What I really liked is that when he didn't win the match, he showed me, and I said this to Avery, it showed me you're willing to pay your dues, that you're not just going to come into the industry as AJ Styles' son, and that has to be pampered and coddled. He wants to earn it. He wants to pay his dues, and I love that. And Eric Cannon couldn't help himself and chimed in and says, as someone who watched this kid skirt away from helping with a single thing at this very show, I'd just like to say LOFNL. Now, of course, this was not something that AJ was going to take too kindly to. And AJ's not a big social media guy. You don't see him chiming in quite a bit, but boy, he's backed himself into a corner here because I can only imagine what it feels like if you're AJ and you're like, hey man, my son wanted to follow in my footsteps and pursue this, and this is his dream. And I can't imagine the pressure that comes with being AJ's son. You yourself being a third generation or at least a second generation wrestler, you know what that's about. And you know that you've got to battle through some of that. Well, AJ felt inclined to respond, which is rare for AJ, but he did. And he said he was paid to wrestle at GCW, not to help you put up and take down the ring. That sounds like your job. You just sound like a jealous douche. This is very rare that we hear from AJ this way, but man, if you're going to go poking at somebody's kid, you're going to get the daddy to come out in them. And AJ used his daddy voice on Twitter. And I was really surprised to see that Brian Pillman Jr., we know him now as Lexus King in NXT. He pointed out that this is a little different. He says, as someone who has walked in this kid's very shoes, being the son of a legendary high flyer and taking it to the indies for the first time, all I can say is that it is a different path than most. I was 5 matches in and promoters would fly me in, tell me to hang out at the hotel until call time. And when I get there, the ring would already be set up. To put it plainly, people treat you differently when you're one of us, and it's not his fault. There's a different type of baggage this boy carries, an expectation to live up to his father's greatness that most will never understand. I hadn't set up or torn down a ring until I got to NXT, but yet I'm so glad I started because it taught me a lot about the work that goes into making the magic that is pro wrestling. I was treated like royalty by everyone in the business until I walked into NXT, and the leadership here humbled me and treated me like everyone else. I hadn't set up or torn down a ring, just stood out to me, Jeff. But he says it's up to the leadership on the indies to show him the way. He's putting his body on the line and drawing extra eyes for your show at a young age. And you want to blast him on the internet instead of talking to him in person? Well, guess what, Eric? Your tweet didn't sell any more tickets for the next show, but I bet Avery Styles being on the card will, because it's his birthright. And man, everybody has been talking about this all weekend. Lots of chatter about who should be putting up the ring and who should or shouldn't be paying dues. Friend of the show, Dustin Starr over in Memphis, said it best. I love seeing fans tweet about wrestlers needing to pay their dues. Made me laugh. Jeff, you've seen it all. You've done it all. You're a second generation wrestler. You've known AJ for a long time. What do you make of this controversy of the week, I suppose?
It's in the cycle. It'll be forgotten about in 24, 48, 72 hours tops. It's interesting. Obviously, Conrad, this is not only something that I've experienced probably from multiple different angles, but it's interesting to see. But why I'm not surprised, but Karen said, "Hey, what's this?" And I immediately thought, I didn't pay any attention to it. Now, Connie, as usual, you laid it all out in sequential kind of format. It is without question a situation. Pillman's kid, Lexi, he's right. AJ, Lexi, myself, any second generation, any third generation will always be viewed, judged, silver spoon, everything too easy. I always go back to Cornette's line. It's either the greatest blessing or the greatest curse. It's up to you how you're going to respond to it. And that is the single reason my old man doubled down and went way, way, way. I mean, I'll say way out of his way, but he wanted to make sure that he was extra hard and did everything he possibly could because he knew that I would be judged. But I think not just that I would be judged, it's the respect of the industry. All these years later, I'm grateful he did. I have no idea what I'm wondering is when they said, "Hey, Avery, can you come work at GCW?" Was Avery, quote unquote, was that a part of the hiring process? Hey, come and set up the ring. My gut tells me Avery was, if he was never asked to put up the ring, then it's almost like, no, wait a minute. And if Avery, that's one side of it. The other side of it is if Avery got there, let's say at 2:00 and you see guys bringing boards in and stuff like that, as a young upstart, it goes a long way to at least say, hey man, need any help? Whatever it may be. It's like there's a lot of guys that learn in, I'll call it wrestling school, when you enter into a dressing room, introduce yourself to everyone in the locker room. That's all fine and dandy, but there's a big difference in walking by and kind of giving a light handshake and not looking the guy in the eye. That's one way. There's another way is pick the right opportune moment, not after you just get there, but like, I'm going to go out of my way and walk up and say, hello, so-and-so, I'm this, nice meeting you, and just a little conversation. So the semantics and all the ins and outs and social media blew up like this. I hope that, at the end of the day, I always kind of go back to, AJ, I respect you. The father came out in you, but I would love to kind of hear how many followers Eric has, how many followers Avery has, how many different followers. AJ, when your voice was vocal and you called someone a douche, I don't think that does. And AJ, your career, you've retired. You're entitled to say any and everything you want. And I mean that. But it comes across, and the backlash, no matter how you slice it and dice it, falls on Avery. Daddy's taken up for his kid. And if you want your kid to truly stand on their own 2 feet, push him out of the nest and let him fly. And that is just life. And certainly social media nowadays that, at the end of the day, I don't want to say don't sell it, but let Eric have his opinion. Huh?
Don't sell it. I'm with you. I mean, here's the reality. If there was a criticism of all of it, it's like, and here's the thing that's hard, because I know if somebody was talking trash about Cody on social media, we ain't going to keep the phone out of Karen's hand. It's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible for her not to go into mama bear mode. And I get that. So that is going to be the challenge here, but Avery's trying to be a public person. One day, some overweight podcaster from Alabama may talk shit about him and call him overrated, and the entire internet will go, how dare you? Then we'll just have to deal with it and endeavor to persevere. But I do think that AJ responding shined a light on it and made it bigger. Like, it probably wouldn't have got any traction at all. But when AJ pipes in, it's like, no disrespect to Eric Cannon at all. But I say more people heard his name this week than they have in a long, long time. And I'm not saying that to be ugly. I'm just saying,
I hate to say this.
Responding gave it life.
Yeah, I hate to say this. Eric won out of the weekend. Avery lost on this argument. Even though Avery's, I kind of think, an innocent bystander.
Did nothing wrong.
Wait a minute. I wasn't even asked to set up the ring. Wait a minute. I didn't, what? And it is what it is. But time takes time. and I will say this, and we said this a couple of weeks ago. When you see Avery's athletic ability, you say, man, oh man, chip off the old block. Just give him some time. I hope he stays in the gym. I hope he gets his body in as good a shape as possible, gets in shape, because he's doing the high flying stuff, and the injury bug comes with that. And the spotlight is on him. And being 19, your body is different from the age of 19. I'm not even going to say 29. A 19-year-old kid and a 25-year-old young man are completely two different human beings as far as their brain development, as far as their physical development, and certainly as far as their emotional development. That's the reality. So shining a spotlight on a we'll call it a teenager age deal, man, oh man, that is some serious pressure.
Well, we sure are pulling for Avery.
Yes.
I hate that this happened. We all know he's going to be, well, I shouldn't say we know. Man, we're all hoping, we're all pulling for him, we're rooting for him. AJ and his family are just easy to pull for, the ultimate baby faces, and really excited to see what's next for him. I don't know if you saw, but Ben Bishop gave his 2 cents over the weekend. And
no.
I'll paraphrase, but he basically said something along the lines of, hey, those guys who are setting up the ring are trying to get booked. They're trying to get where Avery is. It's not his job. He's being advertised now. He is the attraction. The other guys, they're not necessarily drawing any eyeballs. They're either, trying to learn, or trying to cut their teeth, or trying to get booked, or trying to curry favor with the promoter. The dynamic is different here. And people are watching. If they watched another talent that they didn't know their famous father is a Hall of Famer and a former world champion and one of the best to ever do it, they're going to give them a little more grace. Whereas the criticism is going to come hot and heavy, because even if he's good, even if he's successful, even if people like him, they're immediately going to pull the nepotism card. Ask Charlotte Flair or Jeff Jarrett or so many others, right?
Yeah. And the one thing that, oh boy, Conrad, and this is, I'm not going to get up on the soapbox, but setting up the ring is just like what's kind of front and center today. The one thing I would encourage, and I think in a lot of ways, Eric's probably coming from this because as a promoter, but it is a wrestling business. It is not true sport. So, a great quarterback has to learn what he needs to do on the field and really just stay out of trouble off the field. Some quarterbacks but they have to, in our industry, you become such more of a well-rounded businessman when you're on, we'll call it the independent level. If you really know, and I'm saying, how to set up the ring, and that's just kind of the basics. I'm going to say also, you need to learn how to referee, because if you know how to referee, then when you become a talent, you know that. If you know how to a show operates and doors and marketing, get as well-rounded as possible, because it helps you understand at the end of the day, black ink versus red ink. And so that's why I encourage anybody that wants to get in this business. There is no job that you're above. I mean, none. Carrying jackets, carrying bags, cleaning up, opening up, shutting down, driving, airport runs, gopher runs, runner runs, whatever it may be. If you're on the independent scene and you don't have I'll call it a full-time contract, there's few and far between that are out and they've seasoned and they've had a good career and all that. But for the most part, if you're probably 5 years into this business, do everything you possibly can. It helps you as an individual. Maybe not help the independent promoter, maybe not your buddies, whatever it may be. It helps you.
Well, something else that can help you is Quo. I'm talking to you if you're running a small business. Running a business means you've got to always be reachable until you're not. And the moment you miss that call, the moment you miss that text, the moment you miss that follow up, well, a competitor is the one who picks it up. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo. It's spelled Quo. It's the business phone system that's built so you never miss an opportunity. You spent money to get that customer's call. You spent money on those ads, the referrals, the word of mouth, and none of it matters. Because the moment the phone rings out unanswered, that's not just a missed opportunity. That's a sunken cost walking out the door. I'm a big believer in Quo. I know you will be too once you try it. You're going to love that all of your calls, your texts, your voicemails, They all live in one place. So anyone on your team can pick up a conversation, see the full history, and respond fast. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2. It's trusted by over 90,000 businesses who rely on it to stay reachable and look professional every day. You set it up in minutes on any device. You keep your existing number. You add your teammates as you grow. There's no IT. There's no hassle. Quo's built-in AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers questions, even helps you book appointments so you never miss a lead, even when your team is offline. Quo also integrates the tools into your team, all the tools you already use, things like HubSpot or Zapier or Claude. All of this can help you save time, stay organized, and spend less time chasing information between the different systems. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/myworld. That's QUO.com/myworld. Jeff, you mentioned it just a moment ago. Over the weekend, you and the Queen and the Codester got poolside right there in Hendersonville on Old Hickory, and you had a little fun in the name of a good cause. Let's take a look.
Ready?
Easy, Coach. Here we go.
Ready?
2, 3. Whoa.
Show your
It's a
support.
lot cold. Whoa.
Woo!
All right.
Woo! Who we nominating? Who we nominating?
You go first.
I nominate Cody Angle and Sanjay Dutt.
Sanjay. All right. I'm going to nominate
Woo!
the production whiz of AEW, Giancarlo. You're up. My podcast partner. That's right. That's right, Connie.
Connie!
Conrad Thompson, I am nominating you. And the third one is, this is all about a grassroots awareness, making the world know what a tough battle this is, but it's all about creating awareness and raising funds. So every independent wrestling promoter out there, every one of you, I'm a promoter at heart, so you folks can make a difference with your fans. So everyone who's an independent wrestling promoter, I'm nominating you guys to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Step up! We love you, Rebel!
How about that? IamALS.org. AEW has a very special show planned for her in Athens, Georgia, coming up next month. I believe it's on the 9th. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTIX.com. She's in the fight of her life, man. Good on you guys for doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. And I guess I got to go find a bucket, huh?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I cannot wait to see this. Get out there and, yeah, Connie, we got you, pal. We got you reeled in, son.
Well, you wait. I'm going to make sure that I get a little payback on you, and I don't even have to be there, but you can see it at doublejlive.com. Tickets are on sale now. Double J is coming across the pond. Everybody's going to be focused on Wembley Stadium, but before we get there, Glasgow, we're coming to you. doublejlive.com. Scotland's own Grado is going to be there. We're going to have some very special guests. We've got a meet and greet happening at 6:00. The start time for the show is at 7:30. It's going down on Tuesday, the 25th of August. It's going to be here before you know it, just 2 weeks from today. Tickets are on sale now at doublejlive.com. But that's not all. London, you're in luck. It's happening on Saturday, August 29th at the White Horse. This is a limited seating opportunity. Tickets are on sale at doublejlive.com. The meet and greet's at 2:00 in the afternoon. We're going to start the show at 3:00. You don't want to miss it. This is going to be like the dark side of TNA. This is going to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Things we can't put on the podcast. doublejlive.com is where you can snag your tickets. Jeff, you got to be fired up about this.
Oh man, the London show, it's I've gotten the feedback. The White Horse is just literally right around the corner from the Cathedral of Football, Wembley Stadium. But it is a exclusive VIP experience. We've got some really cool things lined up. And then of course, up the road the night before, Dynamite and Collision in Glasgow. But we've got a host, Conrad Des Clark. I wish you could be there. He is freaking hilarious. And Grado, of course, and Bad near Barris. It's a great venue. They do a lot of soccer/football podcasts and gatherings and hoots and all that. So we have great, we really do. 2 shows lined up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wish you could be there, Connie, but man, oh man, Tom Campbell's going to be hosting the London show. He said he's got something in store for me. I'm not sure what he may or may not have up his sleeve, but yeah, doublejlive.com. Get your tickets now.
Jeff, we've got an exciting opportunity to talk about something that involves you and international. I don't know that anybody had this on their bingo card. I don't know what we can or can't reveal, but I hope we're not giving a spoiler. I think it's probably out there. It's on Cage Match.
Yes.
We talked last week about all the boxes that you still wanted to check in wrestling. And this was all born out of a conversation with Adam Copeland that he had on social media, where he kind of shared, I guess, maybe an homage to what Cody did 10 years ago when he left WWE. He listed like a bucket list of things. On it, of course, was Wembley Stadium, but number one on the list was Arena Mexico. And what a freaking hot crowd. It was promoted as a special that was going to go 2.5 hours. It went nearly 3 hours. And it had to be one of the most fun Dynamites in history just because of the venue, just because of the liveliness of the crowd. They came alive. What a special show it was. We're talking about Grand Slam Mexico in Arena Mexico last Wednesday night. And you found yourself doing some behind the scenes business, making the pilgrimage to Mexico. And we actually talked about it last week here on the program. But yes, you've wrestled a ton in Mexico, but always for the competitors, AAA, which now WWE owns. So last week, you found yourself in Arena Mexico, a building that's over 70 years old. For the oldest wrestling promotion around, CMLL's been around for more than 90 years. And you were there in the most historic venue in all of South America. And somehow, some way, someone realized old Double J had never laced him up in the building. And I can't believe this is real. You flew to a business meeting in Mexico, but you had your gear bag with you.
Conrad, I actually got a cell phone call in the arena. Hey, dude, I got to ask you, do you have your wrestling gear? And I chuckled and I said, does a carpenter leave the house without his tool belt? And that got a good chuckle. And they said, okay, man, come see us. So Conrad, we talked earlier about, the cat situation and my father and the trying different things, but to go all the way back. And I've told this story a little bit that, in the early days of TNA, the opposition competitor promoter from CLL flew up, and that relationship, and it was a fruitful relationship for a lot of years. He passed away and I continued the relationship. But Conrad, I had never even stepped foot into Arena Mexico until last Wednesday. So flew down there to handle some business and have the meetings, and got in there late Tuesday night and, up to my room. And, I've flown into that airport so many dadgum times. Get up the next day, go over to the building, start different one meeting to another, and working on a visa situation on a whole nother deal, and got that call. And Conrad, we will have footage, I believe next week. They're working on it. But there were some things shot, shout out Giancarlo, but it occurred to, I guess, several of them that no. And man, Conrad, are you kidding me? It is a bucket list. There's no doubt about it. Not just because my old man, the Paco and years ago, and the whole Luderoth family, and my dad flew down there. Before he had started his own company, he was, quote unquote, the hotshot booker that had, in those days, they used the terms Pop Columbus and Clop Atlanta, and they had this market going, and of course Memphis, and then he got Birmingham, and then Nashville, and Huntsville, and oh man, they're going to open up Louisville and Lexington. It was kind of a different era, but my old man and others would tell stories about pop this town, not territory. Just that's how it was done. But they flew him down, early 70s, to just kind of have a business meeting and pick each other's brains and hey, this and that. And now all these years later, I had the 20-plus-year run, 20-year run in Mexico, but never stepped foot. And for me to step in that ring in Arena Mexico, oh, Conrad, are you kidding me? Super special. And this is maybe a little inside baseball or more inside Jeff's head. Every time I have stepped out in Mexico, I'm a rudo. I'm a bad guy. I'm a heel. And I'll share this, Conrad, which is, another part of it, I was a part of the VIP experience that we do at AEW shows, and shout out to all those guys at every show. You do basically the AEW VIP experience, and you get a picture at ringside, and maybe you get a picture with a belt, but you get a Q&A, and they have a couple of different stars come in and get photo ops and this and that. Well, they chose me last Wednesday to do the meet and greet, kind of the Q&A, and obviously I had the interpreter there. But one of the questions came up and I responded, it's not happening tonight, but wrestling in Arena Mexico is certainly on my bucket list because of, my family's been in the business 40 years. And so this is a legendary arena, but also a legendary family that promotes and how they operate things, and every Tuesday and every Friday. So it's still a weekly and now twice a week, and has been for years, show. So for me to get that call, get that opportunity, talk about crazy, Conrad, but it was fun. We'll have some footage next week.
This is your first time not only wrestling in Arena Mexico, but your first time wrestling for CMLL and your first time for Ring of Honor. Is that right?
And first time a babyface in Mexico.
Oh, so many firsts. Can't wait for us to talk about it next week here on the program. I don't know, man. I didn't have that on my bingo card.
I bet you didn't. Me neither.
This is kind of reminding me a little bit of 2022, where all of a sudden he wrestled everywhere and for everyone. Like, I'm excited for the sequel, yet another chapter in your book one day.
Conrad, I'll just say this, and this is a little cliffhanger. By the time we get around next week, God willing, you may go, what would Forrest Gump's father be called, or Forrest Gump's son? Just wait till I come back with footage next week on where I'm at.
Okay. I like a little cliffhanger.
It is. You don't know, do you? And no, I don't think you know. You don't know, do you?
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Great.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but he's clapping, so maybe it's good. Let's see if you're clapping after this. I don't know if you saw, but WWE held some tryouts over SummerSlam, and friend of the show, J-Rod, who actually worked your show, the Pig Fest last year in Hendersonville, she was on hand for that. But they had one of the NXT head writers, Johnny Russo, there, sort of coaching up these WWE hopefuls who were all there auditioning and trying out for WWE of what they were looking for in promos in WWE. I wanted to let you hear this and give us your take as a veteran who knows a thing or two. Let's take a listen.
Things that I see that a bunch of people do: don't talk in phrases, talk in complete sentences. So when I talk like this, I don't sound like a real person. Just talk normally. Don't ask questions. No one's answering. Hey, you want to know something? No one says anything, and you continue. Don't ask questions. Just say what you guys say. Don't be generic. Heard a lot of generic stuff. I want to be the best I can be. This is my dream. I work hard. How is that unique to you? Everyone's journey is different. No one person's the same. Using the tag team, you guys have a different story, journey. How does that make you different? How do you stand out from that? Any questions?
How would you say you effectively move during the promo? Like, what's too much emotion?
As long as it doesn't take away. If you're like, I'm Ryan, I'm here. But if you're just going and walking, and it doesn't take away from the promo, it's not distracting, same thing with your hands. If I'm doing this talking, you're like, what are you doing with his hands? But if you do if I'm just talking and emphasizing, that's fine. Great first day. Here we go.
So, Jeff, you've seen a lot of these sort of camps and training and coaching sessions. A lot of us fans, we've never heard anything like this. So it is a nice little peek behind the curtain that they posted to social. I wanted to get your 2 cents.
Johnny Russo is super talented. And my first question would be, is that in this day and age, the Unreal, this kind of clip, that whole mentality, does that add to the bottom line? I think that is a subjective question, probably. So I know it is, but I think that puts Johnny in a bad spot. I think it puts the company in a bad spot, and I think it probably puts the folks in that crowd in a spot that it is open season on criticism, and context is king, and everything he was giving right there is valuable, really valuable information. But there is a counterpoint to everything. And I'll go back and, man, Conrad, I don't want to sound like a broken record because this is a little bit of a different lane, but creative is subjective. So is producing is subjective. So is delivery of a promo is subjective. It's all in a super creative process. And so why they release that on, like, where does that go? What bucket does that go in? Okay, we're showing the process, and I get it. The Voice, the American Idol, all those singing competitions, and different shows and different reality shows, and there are, there's different kind of ways to monetize and all that kind of stuff. I still always kind of lean back and go, yeah, I'm a wrestling guy. I'm a third generation. I'm a lifer. But I always truly believe that what we do as professional wrestling is niche, and it is a different type of product that's produced. And I think that's the magic of the success because, I give the analogy, Elvis Presley walks in the back of the Mid-South Coliseum and he's amazed that, 52 weeks a year, people show up. Wait a minute, with basically the same wrestlers, and there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches, and the same people show up week after week after week after week. Elvis Presley, the hottest box office attraction in the world, he could be there one Monday night, sell out, and the second Monday night, sell out, and the third, maybe the fourth. For 52 weeks in a row, it's impossible. And he could sing different songs, but what we do is unique storytelling. And so what Johnny was sitting there doing is kind of the nuts and bolts of storytelling. And so it is different. So I get it. We're going to pull the curtain back and all that kind of stuff is. But I believe in that format, they opened themselves up, whoever made that decision, for just open season to slice and dice any and everybody that appeared on that camera, and then the promotion as well. That's kind of my 2 cents worth on it.
Not a fan of showing how the sausage is made. Fair to say?
Because it's how the sausage is made. For those that believe, that saying, no explanation is needed. For those that don't believe, no explanation will do. It's the thing, my old man used to have fun going through the drive-thrus. Hey, aren't y'all wrestlers as they're delivering our food? Yeah. Y'all use real blood or fake blood? You can look them straight in the eye and say, it's 100% fake. Actually, can I have some ketchup packets? I got to mix that with vinegar because we've got a big bloodbath tonight. They'll look you in the eye and say, oh, bullshit. Yeah, I've seen it. That's real blood. You can pull through the exact same drive-through the following week with the same people, and they say, oh, yeah, y'all get any blood? Oh, yeah, it's real blood. It just, it happens. Bullshit. That never happens. Y'all use ketchup. I know it. My cousin Martha said it's ketchup. Okay. Then the third week you drive through there. Oh, y'all, what about that blood and everything? Oh, no, we have these little razor blades. We cut it. Ain't no way nobody would do that. You're trying to tell me that people actually cut themselves? That's self-mutilation. F off. That don't happen. It just, what we do is different. And I just, show me another form of this kind of entertainment. So am I a fan of not how the sausage is made? I can't really say that as a blanket statement. I just think it opens up criticism. And is that positive for the brand?
I wonder, does it make the talent perhaps feel less than? I think a lot of times what you're trying to promote is this spectacle, and it's over the top.
We talked about that.
It's a superstar. And so when we see guys And I know that it feels like we're picking on WWE, but only WWE posts this sort of stuff. Only WWE, shows Triple H saying, okay, so-and-so wrestler who's been wrestling 21 years, here's how I want you to do your entrance. And I'm not saying that those things don't really happen and shouldn't really happen, but I'm wondering, when you film it, does it make them feel less than? Like, how can I feel larger than life? Like, as a young fan, I don't think I wanted to. I want to see the music hit and the Ultimate Warrior sprint down to the ring. I don't want to see Vince McMahon painting Ultimate Warrior's face or telling him what to do, and then he does. Like, to me, it makes him feel less than. So I wonder, are we going to see footage one day of somebody who was in that crowd? They're going to be in maybe the Roman Reigns or the Cody Rhodes spot, and then somebody's going to be like, oh, look, LOL, here they were doing blah, blah, blah. Like, it just feels like it could be a gotcha moment where if you're going to build someone to be this over the top star, the reality is everybody kind of starts in the same place. Everybody's got to learn. Everybody's got to get better. Nobody, on day one is the greatest there ever was. It's an evolution. And so when you broadcast out people's humble beginnings, it does make you wonder, will they feel differently later? Like, I know Bray Wyatt wound up getting a second act, which was great, but at first they were calling him his old name. They were calling him Husky Harris, and he had to sort of overcome that. And I think that's just part of the thing. If you're going to show the behind the scenes curtain, you have to understand there may be long-term some collateral damage. Is that fair to say?
I just had a conversation in the last, maybe, yeah. When was it? Friday. And this, on the treadmill, this conversation came up. And there's a group of us, and one thing kind of led to another. And I brought up American Idol, in that when you see those early pieces of American Idol auditions, it's humble beginnings, it's emotional, it's the mom, the dad, the uncle. It is a story told, and but it's very endearing. And one thing leads to another, and then they walk in, and then they do the audition. And it's polished and it's heartwarming. And then one of the judges, I'm picking you, or whatever it may be, all that. But it is all designed to really make a star out of a completely unknown person. And that has paid dividends for 20-something years now on those type shows. The flip side that I think we're conversating on is that every time, and I've been in business forever, and I think others, I don't think I'm the only one. When I see Cody Rhodes walk through his entrance, I think of Triple H telling him how to do it. That is my set point, and I don't think that's good. I don't. I think when you see, I don't think Michael Jackson would have ever allowed a producer to say, Michael, I didn't like that take. Let's go back and do that 7 or 8 times. Does it happen in the studio? Over and over and over and over and over, to the greatest singers in the world, whether it's Toby or whatever. Hey, man, you got to have a producer. My old man was like, son, you just the different lessons in this. And Lawler was plenty smart enough and plenty talented enough and all these kind of things. But he'd tell you, yeah, Jerry Jarrett would guide this and this and this. He's a hell of a producer, whatever it may be. So I do think that at the end of the day, our business will always be generated off the big box office attractions. Everything else is shoulder programming and shoulder revenue. The money comes in top talent facing top talent and the monetization of it. When you show that the Wizard of Oz does it all, and look, again, Conrad, I've said it on Ariel, I've said it on here. It's really hard to argue with stock reports. That's not subjective. They are printing money. So on the surface, they're kicking ass, taking names and doing everything right. I'm not going to argue with that. But I will say, kind of what we're saying, the emotional connection when you see, in your words, how the sausage is made, it's a real interesting thing in the long game. It's not like the business is going to be destroyed or go away, but is it going to be lesser in popularity? Is it going to go down? Is the ebb and flow? What's the evolution? I get it. The business doesn't revert. The X Division style that was laughed at in 2002, look where it's at in 2026. I mean, that's the reality. The business doesn't go in reverse. So Conrad, them having Johnny Russo give like really heartfelt, accurate, creative prompts and discussions and all that. Okay, that is an evolution. Is it right or wrong? I don't. It doesn't feel like box office, but we're talking about it, so it's very interesting to kind of see how the cookie will crumble in the I'll say months and years to come.
We want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you want to see how the sausage is made? Do you like these behind the scenes looks, or do you think it sort of takes away? Something that never takes away, though, it only adds to, is Ultra. I know the Queen absolutely loves Ultra, and you will too. You're going to absolutely love Ultra. And here's why I know it. They're ideal for athletes, for runners, and for health conscious people. And you need to hear this plainly. They're 100% nicotine free. These give you instant focus and an energy boost without the vasoconstriction, the crash, and the addiction that all come with nicotine. What they have are clinically proven nootropics and adaptogens to deliver immediate focus and smooth energy that lasts an hour or two. Just pop in one pouch in 5 minutes before your run, your workout, or your work day, and you'll feel it sharpen your mind and lift your energy by the time you start. 5 minutes, that's all it takes. These are the perfect solution for people who take their health seriously, but they still want an energy boost. If you're fasting or you're on a diet, Ultra will actually help you quiet those cravings and suppress appetite, keeping you locked in to achieve your goals. You're going to notice a better pump during your workouts. If you're fasting or on a diet, you're going to notice it kills some of your appetite and cravings. If it feels like it's possible or to be powered up in the afternoon, why wouldn't you do that? I think a lot of us who have to be a slave at the desk, we get that afternoon crash. Not with Ultra, but you are going to feel less on edge when compared to nicotine. You're not going to deal with the crashes. And what I love is nicotine pouches and caffeine will spike your resting heart rate at night. And that's going to kill your body's ability to recover, your brain's ability to recover. But Ultra patches have a shorter half-life than caffeine, so they're not going to disrupt your sleep. What you're going to notice is what 90% of users see and call significant improvements in their overall focus levels. We call it like a calm, steady flow state focus, enhanced memory, smooth energy, a mood balance, all with zero nicotine and zero caffeine. There's got to be a reason that it's trusted by the top athletes, the entrepreneurs, and the engineers around the world. They've got great flavors, though. Cool Mint is always my go-to. My cousin Derek, he loves the wintergreen. Megan has dropped the tropical. My sister likes watermelon, but I know everybody's going to love Blue Raz. It's kind of sweet and tart. They've got all these great flavors for you to try. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch. It delivers instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. And new customers can use our code MyWorld to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com for 15% off with the code MyWorld. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Serious business, Jeff. How much does the Queen love Ultra?
It's unbelievable. I mean, she's trying to get me hooked on the tropical. That's mine now. Go to. She'll say, "Hey, I got a tropical." Conrad, it's kind of an obsession with her, but I will say this: she gets dialed in. She'll tell you, "Hey, a woman my age and going through the change, and I kind of have brain fog, this and that." But man, oh man, I can assure you, she is a walking, talking testimonial of Ultra. So takeultra.com and tell them the Queen said so.
It's MyWorld. Use that code MyWorld at takeultra.com. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about Dominic Mysterio. I don't know if you've seen, but he's in a bit of a conundrum. And there's a report out from False Finish that says that Dominic is frustrated in the difference in the way he's being booked on the main roster of WWE and the way he's booked in AAA. The source notes that Dominic believes he should be booked in a more serious way on WWE TV because he is, in fact, holding the most important championship in all of AAA. I think he just wants some consistency with his character. As a reminder, he's the top dog in AAA. He's got the big belt, the mega championship. but he was just in a human monies on a pole match with Danhausen, and that respectfully is more fun and lighthearted. Is this just part of it? I mean, it is interesting to think about. This isn't WWE doing this with a TNA champion, a company they don't own. This is WWE doing this with a company they do own in AAA. And I'm assuming they just don't think there's much crossover. Does this matter? Does consistency matter? I mean, do you think there's a chance in AAA we'll see Roman Reigns doing a human monies on a pole match? Will he do that in Mexico since there's no crossover?
Oh, Conrad, it's funny how when we do My World, one thing will overlap to another. We've kind of brought up my old man twice today in different scenarios. And now I kind of feel here we go in the development of second generation talent, in that the thing that jumps off the page at me is that AAA, from my understanding of online reports, the creative process is Taker and Jeremy Borash. Don't know that for a fact, but that's, I think, what's reported. Is that true or false?
Undertaker has said he's head of creative.
Okay.
So Undertaker's taking the credit. I assume Borash is there somewhere.
Okay. All right. Then you're dotting I and crossing the T's. With that being said, I don't think Taker and Mr. JB and that process is in charge of Raw or SmackDown. With that being said, there's two different creative teams, maybe three. And so one team has a vision of Dominic, and the other team obviously doesn't have that division of Dominic. And I think at the very core of it, when you see, we're talking about Avery Styles not setting up the ring, or was that his job, kind of all that kind of stuff. Now, all of a sudden, you see the progression of a talent that, you know, I was there. We did a deal in Springfield, Illinois, back in the day when I was working for those guys, and I brought Dominic out. I was kind of the guest GM of the night, brought him out. But anyway, he was that young babyface, and now over the last couple of years, he's got into his own kind of, if you will, vibe and growth and maturation. And now he is, without question, the top dog in AAA in Mexico. And you just said it, he's in a comedy spot. I think it's probably about time for Dominic to no longer become Ray's kid to the Raw and SmackDown teams, because the Raw and SmackDown teams have literally written different individuals, namely the top head. They've written for Ray for years, and they look at Dom as, okay, that's the kid, and that you know, the whole group that Ray Dominic's in and all this. I do think it's probably time for Dominic to go in and saying, hey, can we talk about this? I'm not real happy. I think this needs to go in a different direction. I'd like my character to do this, this, and this, and handle it like business, but don't have Ray do it. And maybe Dom's done that. So I don't want to assume or you know, my expectations are that he hasn't done this. Maybe he already has, and that's the role, that's the play that they're saying, Dom, go run. But it is a little bit of a mixed bag, and he is the top dog in AAA. And hey, you never know that maybe the overall TKO mindset is that we are going to make AAA. You know, it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and we're going to put NXT as kind of a subset of a fourth brand, if you will. I don't know, because maybe they're looking at it on revenue generation. I don't, Conrad, I don't know, because we're not in the tent to really know the decisions made. But I think at the end of the day, Dom's the one. If he's really frustrated, then I think he has enough equity in his career. He's not a newcomer anymore. He's been there 5, 6, 7 years, and he's delivered. And he may be playing the role of, he's the perfect guy to help Danhausen to go through this, because again, you can go back through the history of the business. Sometimes if you are so versatile, a la Miz, a la Jeff, there's a couple of different deals. If you're so versatile, they know, all right, we're going to run him with Danhausen, maybe even a year. He'll pivot from that and go right into the right slot and move back to where he needs to be, because he's that good. Sometimes the talented guys that are multi-talented, play the role because they're the best at it, and then they'll get them back up. Get them back up the creative ladder.
A lot to unpack there, because I feel like a lot of times guys get pigeonholed into once they see you as that, it's kind of hard to break out of that. I look at a guy like Dolph Ziggler, and it feels like they gave him one shot with the big belt. He got a concussion, had to relinquish the belt. They pivoted. And from that point forward, it feels like they sort of said, hey, this guy's so good, the fans are going to give him a reaction every time. But his real secret talent is he's going to be able to help get our other guys over. And then before you know it, that's his identity to fans. Like, he's here to make other people look good. And that wasn't the case with Dominic Mysterio. It wasn't that long ago that every time, I'm holding up Larenko now, every time he held the microphone up, the fans would just pour in the booze. They didn't want to hear from him. Just teasing that he was going to raise the microphone and speak, that was enough. And I don't know if that's where we are with him right now. I hope we get back there.
In the creative rooms, when you have a 2 or 3 hour show and you're looking to, I hate to say fill segments, but that is what it gets down to, especially where you're in kind of
3 hour SmackDown.
Well, not just a 3 hour SmackDown. SummerSlam's over. The next real mega event's Rumble. And I know Survivor Series is coming, and I know they're going to put All Eyes, and they've got probably they've got multiple PLEs. But when you're in this process of churning out week in and week out on those different teams, when you look on that roster and say, oh, God, I got to do a 2 segment, man, Dolph, I'll take you. Miz, I'll take you. Like, it's quality. And so the unfortunate side of that is sometimes the quality performers don't get paid because the people that are in the writer's room don't really determine, and it's kind of a mixed bag. And the value of being multi-talented and multifaceted and being able to be plugged and played top to the bottom of the card can work against you.
I do want to ask you, I don't know if you, I don't even know if it's something you've thought about, but I've seen some people chatting because they just revealed last week that Royal Rumble is going to be in Glendale, Arizona, but it's in February, Jeff, and they haven't revealed when in February. We know the Super Bowl, as a heads up, is on Valentine's Day next year, February 14th. I'm sure the women here in America are going to love that. But I feel like football has changed the wrestling calendar, because forever we saw Royal Rumble as a January show. It seems like it's going to be a February show now. And SummerSlam historically was like a late August, right before school starts sort of pay-per-view, like a week before Labor Day sort of concept. I remember as a kid, it feels like it was always around like August 25th or 27th or something like that. Now it's at the beginning of the month. And if you're playing hey, we want to get a municipality to write us a big check to come to your town, well, the biggest place we could stack people is an NFL stadium. So in a weird way, the NFL schedule running later and later, and the Super Bowl being in February and football starting earlier and earlier, has sort of squeezed us to now SummerSlam is at the end of July or very beginning of August. And then the other show, Royal Rumble, is no longer late January. Now it's into early February. As a wrestling fan, I miss it the old way. As a business person, I understand, hey, you got to go where the money is. They need the tourism, these towns do, in the NFL offseason. They don't need the help during the regular season. So, yeah, they're going to incentivize you to come when they need the house and they need the heads and beds. Have you wrapped your head around that? I mean, football's the driver here, right?
Got to be. Yeah. You just said it, the economic impact. To kind of refer it to my cat situation. And look, we don't have any study done, and not even sure one will be done, but we are well aware that local businesses have come up to us. I did the signed autographs Saturday as people were entering the building. I got 3 different groups that came up to me and said, hey man, we love it. You guys better be back next year. I own blah, 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 blah. And it's great. We got great foot traffic, and we actually have even more traffic because there's an excitement coming downtown, and they were here on game nights, but they've come back on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or Thursday. So, the money's the driver. Conrad, what's interesting is you kind of rolled that out in that and I'm just using Glendale, the Cardinals, and the schedule's out. Are they like there's got to be a Saturday, Sunday where the Cardinals are on the road, and I'm not going to just say the Cardinals, but a stadium where the NFL team's away while they're not getting in that sweet spot of January. I don't know. I get it that the NFL's the driver, but the season, can't they find a hole, whether it's Houston or Dallas or I don't know, Santa Clara or LA, or I just can't imagine that every stadium in a warm climate is full during football season. I don't know. Is there more to it? Is it that they are, I don't know, looking at the calendar and the Saudi play? Again, Conrad, context is king. We're not in these booking meetings and routing meetings and the different municipalities, and they're, that's a lot of food for thought. Is you got my head spinning, and maybe next week I'll have different thoughts. But you led with football's got to be the driver. I don't know. Is it the driver or one of the drivers? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, if you recall, they did a WrestleMania in Vegas on Easter weekend. It's got to be because, hey, the studies show, like, if you're a town and you're going to write a check for a big thing to come to your town, it's like, hey, what's our worst week? When are we doing the least business? When would this make the biggest splash for our hotel owner operators, for our bar owner operators? Like, how can we get busy and force that commerce where it might not normally have an opportunity? And of course, if you're running an NFL game, well, you're going to have tens of thousands of fans come into town for that event. So it'll take care of itself. Why would you want to split that? That doesn't make sense. So instead, let's look for an off week. And I think in looking for those off weeks and looking for those opportunities, WWE, rightfully so, adjusts the schedule a little bit. Because in the end, does it really make a shit if SummerSlam is in July or August? No. But I can say that now that our SummerSlam this year is in the rearview mirror, we're still weeks away from, like, on this day in WWE history, the 88 SummerSlam, the 89 SummerSlam, the 97 SummerSlam. Like, it just happens later in the month. And I don't know. I kind of miss that. It doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, as a fan, I'm outside yelling at clouds saying, yeah, I miss late August SummerSlam. Not that it matters.
Well, and again, when I think of the scheduling and routing, we're headed to All In London, and I know we're going to talk about that, but Taylor Swift, she had, what was it, a 10-show deal there, which kind of altered things. And we're the weekend, on the following day, the Monday's a bank holiday where everybody's off. Just the juggling of dates. And I guess we could call it as the old man used to call it, the chess piece game, moving chess pieces around the table.
Well, I know the entire internet, I don't know if you saw this, Jeff, but the entire internet decided last week that I had a hard-on for Roman Reigns. I don't know. Did you see this? Everyone was talking about it.
I caught wind of it, Connie, as they say in the holler. I caught wind of it.
I had the audacity to share my opinion on my podcast with Eric, and the entire internet wrestling community went,
"How dare you!"
And I had to do my best. But I can tell you now, and I want to state it in a loud and clear voice just to clear up the rumor and innuendo, I do not hate Roman Reigns. I do not dislike Roman Reigns. I do not have a hard-on for Roman Reigns. But I could have a hard-on for anyone with Blue Chew Gold. Measure your days not in minutes or hours, but in boners and in rounds with your woman with Blue Chew Gold. Hey, wait a minute. Why are you booing that? Oh, let's pretend like it's Roman Reigns in 2017 and turn the sound down on those boos. Because Blue Chew Gold is going to quiet the noise in your head. Blue Chew Gold is better sex than a tablet. They combine 4 ingredients into one powerful solution. You've got 2 ingredients to get you ready physically and 2 to support arousal and desire in the brain. It works fast and it lasts. Guys can now have a complete experience in the bedroom with Blue Chew Gold. And there's a reason Blue Chew is the #1 brand for better sex. Experience it for yourself at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd for free with the promo code MyWorld. That's promo code MyWorld. You'll also receive an additional 10% off plus free overnight shipping on your first order. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the pod. And if you don't like Blue Chew Gold,
suffering succotash, son.
Get with the program. Use that promo code MyWorld. Jeff, I'm not trying to spend any real time on it. I do have some other things I want to hit, but
darn heck,
I wanted to give you an opportunity. Do you have any strong opinion on, and by the way, feel free to tell me I'm an idiot and to shut the hell up and stop sharing my opinions. But do you have anything on the Roman Reigns thing, or can we move on?
You know what, Conrad? I mean, here where, let me think. I think the easiest way for me to comment on this is that I think in a way, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but the whole conversation kind of swirling around it, in that I looked at John Cena and you're thinking, Jeff, I just asked you about Roman Reigns. And I'm going to respond and say, Connie, if you ask me what time it is, I'm going to tell you how to build the watch. All kidding aside, but when I look at John Cena and that retirement match and how I thought it went the wrong way, the reason that I thought John is different from others is because there was a time that he literally was carrying the brand and bigger than the brand. That I know the data and the ticket sales. I know, I won't name names, but the live events department. And I sat down when I got moved over in that department and really studied the numbers. And let me look at this, and let me look at that. And can we go back to 2016? Can we go back to 15? Can we go back to 14? And okay, studied the data. You can say that about Austin. You can say that about Hogan. You can say that about different individuals through the time. In that those guys were, I don't want to say became bigger than the brand because as a promoter, but they did. They got out in front. And I think what you were trying to say is that, yes, he's had more main events than, I think you said Hogan and somebody else combined.
Hogan and Austin and Flair combined.
Okay. Say that again.
Roman Reigns has had more WrestleMania main events than Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the Nature Boy Ric Flair combined.
Okay. And so that is a credit to Roman that he was given that spot, or not, that's what I'm saying, earned that spot, put in that spot, however it may be.
Trusted in that spot.
Trusted in that spot. There you go. But that doesn't, I don't believe that overnight or just because knights him into a stratosphere like a Cena, like a Austin, like a Hogan, that carries the brand. I think that's kind of what you were trying to say, Conrad, because I love Roman, and I think his real life story of perseverance and kicking
amazing
is kicking it between the teeth and in the balls. And dude, I mean, that's that real life being a champion and how he has persevered through all of that. And look, he's a generational talent, third generation guy, and the weight of the world. But I think that's part of what you were saying in that, hey, man, wait a minute, guys, there's a little bit of a difference here.
Yeah, there is. Here's the reality. I was sharing that, hey, I was ready for something different, Dan. You know, we've seen a lot of Roman Reigns on top. We saw him as the big dog. We've seen him as the tribal chief. I'm ready for, the American badass version. Even the Undertaker switched it up. So I was clamoring for, hey, let's switch it up a little bit. Now, we do have a live studio audience. Want to give a quick shout out to Michael and Homeroom King and my man, Coach Keith Morrison. I know the internet believes this is a newfound opinion of mine, and I just shared it for clicks. Coach Keith can tell you I felt this way about Roman Reigns for years. I was ready for something different then. And I called him in the original thing that I think got everybody so upset, an industry plant. The idea being, just because someone is in the spot doesn't mean that the fans put them there. Did the fans put somebody at the top of the music charts? Did they grow organically and become have the number one song in the world? Or did the machine push them, the record labels, the radio stations? Did they manufacture this person to be the top star and they just wrote it out? And I think if you go back and you look at the very beginning of Roman Reigns, it's easy to see when they were booing him and they had to turn the volume down that he was an industry plant. And I would challenge anybody who else had the same number of opportunities where fans were not buying it at all and it didn't matter? Vince was stubborn and he saw it through. And by the way, Vince was right. Roman was worthy. He didn't have the right creative. He wasn't packaged correctly. That's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say he did. He's done a fine job. And he's leveraged himself to get a really great contract. Roman Reigns is the highest paid wrestler in the history of wrestling. He's doing it right now. The amount of money that Roman will make last year and this year combined is probably more than Flair made in his entire in-ring career. That's not a bad thing. That's not a criticism of him. It's amazing that you can make that kind of money on 13 matches. It's unbelievable. It's great for the industry. It's a net positive. I, as a fan, am ready for something else. That's all I was saying.
And here's the thing that is the question that me and you have talked about offline, just to me, and I'll share this. And I know we've touched on a little bit is that has the industry at a position in society that, you know, the Logan Pauls or you know, the celebrity that comes in and out, where it may be. And then you have I mean, if there, in the words of JR, if there ever was a blue chipper, Vince saw it, JR saw it, anybody in WWE saw it, it was Roman Reigns. Like no doubt about it. But is the industry at a place in the grand scheme of entertainment, of sports entertainment, of where we're at in pop culture with ESPN and HBO Max and all that different things that we may not ever see another star break out and get larger than life and somewhat larger than the promotion? I believe it's still there, and I think it's going to come from someone who figures out from a creative way that he explodes on social media that's undeniable. When I think back over the times, and I'll give you my long-winded report, Nashville, the city of Nashville music industry basically said, Toby, get the F out. Sorry, dude, we think you're okay, but we're just probably going to know. Oh, okay. He went out, moved back to Oklahoma, had this album. He did it his way. They came with the right producer, with the right folks. The song that hit was How Do You Like Me Now? And I could go on, Should Have Been a Cowboy, Broken, all this. But he really did it his way, and he was undeniable. Country music had to play him. The songwriting community knew that the guy could write songs. He toured, and when he toured, he sold tickets, not because of radio manufactured bullshit, because he was a singer-songwriter that knew how to connect emotionally. I could go on this bunch of different ones. Taylor Swift, you know, I've told the story about MySpace. She answered every fan. She connected emotionally. She was a unique songwriter, not the greatest dancer, maybe not the greatest singer, but my God, write a song like none other. She connected. All of a sudden, the music world goes, this young lady's got something. They jumped on her bandwagon instead of her jumping on. Is there going to be a talent? That's what happened with Stone Cold. Stone Cold was whatever it was, Stunning Steve, this and that, the Ted DiBiase deal. He figured out his style. Vince goes, boys, back up. Stone Cold's coming through. I'm wondering if there is going to be a talent that breaks out like that, because that, to me, is what excites me as the industry. Where's that next total, undeniable rock star that you cannot hold down? That's, to me, is what's going to be the fun part. So that's my rant. Conrad, our studio audience, Homeroom King, your dad played with Bernard King. That jumped all over me. What's your father's name, if you don't mind sharing? Put it in the comments, because the Ernie and Bernie show, Conrad, is my all-time favorite college duo. Ernie Gunfrill, Bernard King, University of Tennessee, back in the 70s.
Let's talk a little bit about another thing that popped off over the weekend that I don't know is on everybody's radar, but it involves two people that you were very, very close to through your life. So I'm going to pose it to you and you only. There was a question that was brought up about Chelsea Green's booking at SummerSlam. What the F do you have to be thinking to make your new WWE champion eat a pin on the very first show after winning the title? Your favorites can go months without getting pinned, and if it does happen, it only happens after interference from 47 people, 12 shots with the title, 9 low blows, and 3 referee mistakes. But Chelsea can just lose after some classic tag team match chaos. BS. When Green came out to celebrate, I wanted to cry tears of joy. It was such a touching moment. And then 10 minutes later, she lost, and suddenly I wanted to cry out of sadness instead. Is this really a new beginning or just the same old shit wrapped in new packaging and tied up with a championship bow? Longtime friend of the show, Brian James, chimed in on social and said, I'd say Chelsea can't be a world beater. She can lose. You have to treat the character consistently. She ain't Rhea. Now, this is all a conversation that's happening, I think, before the internet knows that Chelsea Green, in her first public appearance, after they announced that Rhea just had knee surgery, it's no longer an interim title. Now Chelsea Green is the women's champion. This same match where she loses in the tag match, Jeff, she broke her orbital bone. If it wasn't for bad luck, she'd have no luck at all. She tried to find a way to work the foot injury into part of her persona with the walking cast, the air boot, if you will. But an orbital bone means you've got loose pieces of bone rattling around in your head. That's not something to mess around with. We don't know what is going to happen with her title reign, but it feels like she's had so many stops and starts with WWE. I hope this isn't another one. I hope that we can get a sustained run here. And I hope most of all that her health is okay and that she's all right. I just feel terrible for Chelsea Green, but this booking got some people fired up. Brian James says you have to treat the character consistently. What do you make of this?
Creative is subjective. You have to, Road Dog, I wish he's on here for us to kind of get into debate. So you got to treat the character consistently. So that means to tell me you treat a talent the same before and after they become champion. I don't know if that passes. And we can wordsmith. I don't know if that passes the sniff test, but on the also with that is that, God, I hate to hear the injury, but as you're building a talent and building a talent and building a talent, they obviously said, okay, we believe enough in this character, in her reaction, maybe in her ratings, maybe in her social media data, whatever it is, they made her champion. So she's built. I'm going to say, I'm not so sure that you treat the character the same if you're building that equity. I get that wins and losses, you can figure that out 15 different ways. But I do think that as you're building a character, that is there, and I don't know what the tag team chaos, why beat her and where's it going? That's the subjectivity that the writers may know. No, guys, we beat her here because she needs to win here in the rematch. We don't know that. So taking it on face value is something that is good for the business because we're watching it real time. What we don't know is where they're going week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Creative is subjective. I love it. We talk about it all the time here on the program. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Dude Wipes. You and I are big users of this product, and now they're in the wrestling game. I have teased you and the Queen back when we were in Hendersonville earlier this year about trying the new Extreme Menthol. It's like a menthol. It's like an Altoid for your butt. And now they have a presence in wrestling. His name is Deuce. Yes, Deuce, like number 2. He's the mascot of Dude Wipes, and he's going to be featured not just as a part of the TNA program, but like in the wrestling storylines. TNA Wrestling has announced a new partnership with Dude Wipes, a collaboration with the mascot Deuce, becoming a part of a custom TNA storyline through exclusive backstage segments, match walkouts, ringside appearances, and original digital content. We're going to see an appearance from Deuce at TNA Lockdown on August 23rd, where he's going to film exclusive content and full integration. That's all going to be a part of the tapings in San Antonio in September. That's going down on the 25th. They're going to have fans who are attending these events enjoy product sampling an interactive concourse activation, and opportunities to engage with the Dude Wipes brand throughout contests, photo experiences, and exclusive giveaways. Jeff, I am reminded of the fall of 1997 when Rick Rude, China, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels were forming DX, and they held up a sign that said, "Who booked this crap?" Well, now we've got somebody to take care of that sort of business. The shitty creative can be wiped away with Deuce. This, to me, feels like a missed opportunity in the Vince Russo era of TNA. How much fun. He put little people in trash cans. Shout out to some of our friends who know what we're talking about. Can you imagine how much fun Vince Russo would have had with Deuce from Dude Wipes?
Drop a deuce. In arena football, the deuce is when you kick a score and then you have the kickoff, and the kickoff says, "That's right, you get a deuce," as in 2 points. But I don't think they're talking about this being a 2-pointer. I think they're talking anyway, Conrad.
Is somebody going to shit in somebody's bag, Jeff?
Well,
is that what's going to happen?
You never know. My buddy here locally is tied to the deuce, tied to Two Wives. So it's going to be interesting. As we all know, as you just said, and I've said over and over and over, it's subjective. So let's see where they take this creative and how they walk this fine line. On the surface, it feels like, boy, oh boy, but you never know. As long as he's not calling an elbow lockup and there's a little spice here and there, just a little bit, enough for entertainment. I can see the fact that we're talking about it, Conrad.
Rules.
Hadn't Dude Wipes already won?
They've already won. I love it. It's a home run. I don't know if you saw, but I would love to see if Deuce is going to make his in-ring debut. Can you imagine if there was like a face-off with Deuce from Dude Wipes and Big Man Tater? Can you imagine?
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
Tater time.
That's wrestling.
Dude, Deuce Wipes.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. I don't want to hear that it's shitty creative. I don't want to hear who booked this shit. No. I don't want to hear it was a shitty match. None of it will exist with Deuce. He's going to wipe it away.
Look, you can wipe your ass with that finish.
I mean, you telling me Vince Russo wouldn't have had somebody come out with a script and wipe their ass with it? I mean, like, oh, it's minty. It must be extreme. It's going to happen.
You're the best, Conrad. Out of all storylines in the history of professional wrestling, not any of your JCP favorites, not any of your Golden Hulkamania favorites. We're talking Connie's favorite creative to produce would be Deuce and Tater Time.
Well, let me just say this. Hang on now. Hear me out. What if the next time we tie Roman Reigns to a ring post and cover him in dog food, we have Deuce jump the guardrail and he just Dude Wipes him down? Just bro to bro.
As Des Mantel would say, shit writes itself.
It does write itself. But you know what? It doesn't write itself. The Perfect Gene. I'm going to tell you, Double J's been making appearances internationally. I can go ahead and give you a spoiler. When he flew to Mexico to talk about business and had no idea he would be wrestling, he wanted to travel in comfort. Jeff's an athlete. He can't wear regular jeans. He needs the Perfect Gene. He doesn't want to wear sweatpants because he still wants to look sharp. He still wants to look good. He's got to make some appearances in front of the camera. And he's representing a brand as he's dragging his bag through the airport. The Perfect Gene is exactly what he needs. And that's what you need for your fantasy football draft day or the NFL preseason kickoff. I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be loading up. You're going to get the snacks. You're going to get those adult beverages. You're going to come a little bit of a couch potato. Well, what you need is some jeans that are going to move with you like a normal human being. You'll be able to do a full squat all the way with the Perfect Gene. It's as comfortable as sweatpants, but you look sharp doing it. And normally when jeans look this good on you, they're going to come with that 3-figure money, like $200 jeans, but not with the Perfect Gene. They're only $79. I think it's the best value around. You're going to put them on and be like, oh, damn, these are actually freaking awesome. You're going to love the way you look in them. You're going to love the way you feel in them, and they work with you. Whether you're trying to go back to school or get into the office or wear them on a date or an outing, or you're just wanting to be chill at the house and you're going to be entertaining. Maybe you got a house full coming over for draft day. You can do it all with the perfect gene. Double J has worn these seriously on TV more often than you can count. But you're going to find out as soon as you actually look into the reviews. Don't take our word for it. Go read the reviews. You're going to see tens of thousands of reviews where people are saying, I'm never wearing another brand. Like Jeremiah Washington says, they fit awesome and stretch so much I can do squats in them. Perfect fit. What about Jared Landry? He says, I've got thunder thighs and squat a lot at work, and they're super comfy and durable. And right now, our listeners can get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectgene.nyc. Or Google The Perfect Gene and use the code Jarrett15. You'll get 15% off. That's Jarrett15 for 15% off at theperfectgene.nyc. All right, it's official, Jeff. Brock Lesnar has retired. He broke the news on the Pat McAfee show. We all said to ourselves, didn't he just retire at WrestleMania? But he came back and he tied it up, one apiece in Italy. And then at SummerSlam, he went on last on night one in a Hell in a Cell, passed the torch to Oba Femi, announced that Oba is the future. And a few days later, he jumped on the Pat McAfee show, said he's retired. And when he was asked, hey, does this mean you're going to do some celebrity boxing stuff? Or are you going to mix it up with Jake Paul on Netflix or something like that? He said, I ain't doing jack shit. And good for him. He's going to support his boys. His daughter is eyeing a 2028 Olympic spot. So he's going to support his kids' dreams. He's going to get in the wood. He's going to chill out. Well deserved. A 10-time WWE champion, a 2002 King of the Ring winner, a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, a 2019 Money in the Bank winner. He won the NCAA Heavyweight Championship. He won the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Hell, he was even the IWGP champ over in New Japan. He's done it all. And now I want to have the legacy conversation with you, Jeff. Where do you think his legacy is? When you talk to a guy like JBL, he says Brock's one of the all-time best that ever did it. I don't know why he's not in that conversation. I think you could probably reconcile him as Vince McMahon's most modern Andre type attraction. When he came back into the WWE in 2012, after a hell of a run in the UFC, from 2012 to now, so you're talking 14 years, he wrestled 84 times, Jeff. I mean, this is the epitome of a big money fighter in wrestling. I do think he's probably the most modern version of Andre that Vince had. Do you think he's in the Rushmore conversation? Is he in the best big man conversation? Where is his place in history in pro wrestling, at least in your mind?
Yeah, I think you're answering the question yourself, because Andre, would he ever be on Mount Rushmore of the best professional wrestlers of all time? I don't think I hear that. But the thing to me that Brock will never fit in a box, in that what we do is obviously sports entertainment. We are simulating, if you will, obviously scripted entertainment, however you want to put professional wrestling, but it's winners and losers, good versus evil, competition, however it may be. Brock has no peers. He did this in the UFC, in the MMA world, and became champion. And I know you can, I think there's Danny Hodge. There's some folks along the way that you can kind of say, well, he did this and did this. But I don't think Brock has a peer in our industry, in that his athletic background, and I'm talking about starting from the amateur all the way up, breaking into our business, having that run, going back to his kind of roots of amateur, not amateur, the athletic, competitive MMA.
Combat sports.
Yeah. But yeah, on that real competition deal, and then stepping back into the entertainment world. And you just said big money match after big money match. To me, if he came back and you said 14 and had
12.
84 matches, let's just say after about in this modern era, after about match 15, that you go, you know what? Okay, enough. He's kind of run it. My God, he's done it for 12 years. That's why, to me, he doesn't have any peers. we as fans, and I'm going to say here on the fan, or me and Conrad, me as business folks, or everything in between, we always like to say Mount Rushmore or top 5 list, or try to fit it into some kind of narrative, or try to fit it into a box with a conversation. I don't think there ever has been, and I don't foresee, certainly in the foreseeable future or distant future, being another one. I don't think the good Lord above, he only made one Brock. And I say that with, he's an anomaly in so many different ways. The timing that he's had also on so many different avenues, him hooking up with Paul Heyman, you just kind of drill in, where would Brock's wrestling career be without Paul? It's debatable, but you have to give Brock the credit, because Paul's smart and crafty and business minded and all this, but they obviously had to develop a relationship, and Brock's ego, and I'm saying, or lack of, hey, Paul's going to do this in my role, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to work 84 matches over 12 years, and I'm going to make this kind
14.
of money. His business acumen, I think, is freaking incredible, and you would never off the cuff go, that damn Brock, what a businessman he is. There's a few folks that may say that, but not generally speaking. You say, what a freak athlete. So you put it all together, his business acumen, his athletic ability, his athletic career, his professional wrestling career. You can't fit him in a box to me. He is the one, the only Brock Lesnar.
And now he's calling it a career. We want to hear from you guys. Is he on your Mount Rushmore? Is he your number one on the best big man list? Is he somewhere else? What is Brock Lesnar's legacy? I look forward to having this conversation, because he has no comparable, as you said. There is nothing else you can draw from and say, well, Brock is like blank. That doesn't really exist. And they don't make him quite like Dory Funk Jr. either. We couldn't get out of here without paying homage to another fallen legend. What a full life Dory had. What a legacy he leaves behind, not just as the NWA champion from 1969 to 1973. And I know these days people have their own opinion of the NWA, but way back when, long before the WWF was king, the NWA was as good as it gets. It was the big belt, and he held it longer than anybody except Lou Thez. What an incredible run. What an incredible family legacy. Of course, all of our listeners are familiar with his younger brother, Terry, and of course, their father, Dory Funk Sr. I mean, just an unbelievable career in the ring. But then you want to talk about a second act. Who would have ever imagined he would go on to become one of the more beloved and prolific trainers, really doing camps to get people like Jay Resso and Adam Copeland dialed in to be Edge and Christian, really taking to a gold medal winner in Kurt Angle. And I thought Kurt's tribute to Dory over the weekend on social media was just fantastic. Dory Funk Jr. passed away. What a legacy he leaves. He was Bruce Pritchard's absolute favorite wrestler. If you grew up in the Texas area, you know the Funks are legends. And I know so many people heap the praise on Terry, but boy, Dory was as good as it got from 1969 to 1973. I do want to ask you, when you take a look at Dory Funk with the benefit of hindsight, what do you think his legacy will be as the NWA champion, even though it was before everybody's matches were filmed and readily available on YouTube and you could watch them anywhere, anytime? Or will it be as a trainer and the influence he had on wrestling behind the scenes? What do you think his legacy will be? And are there any parallels, do you think, with Dory and yourself? And that, hey man, you too were an NWA and a WCW world champion. But you have to consider, when you're talking about the career of Jeff Jarrett, all that you've done behind the scenes to launch a promotion and help a lot of young wrestlers. I mean, he was in the business his father was in, just like you. Are there any parallels with Dory? And what do you think his legacy will be?
Man, oh man. You know, I got to work with him down in Ocala, and we had like a long match. Was it 30 minutes? Long time. When he wanted to I was working for TNA, and we had an NWA title match. I was a champ, but just to go down and work for him, I went the the biggest reason was my father. He was, and I've said this many, many times, he was my father's favorite champion. And I got to, obviously pick my old man's brains, but also car rides and hear different stories. And, when you look at Dory, from a physical perspective and then match him next to Terry, of course there's a comparison, but without Dory, Terry doesn't create that wild persona and the yin and the yang of it, and their brothers and their old man, basically broke them in the business. But when you look at Dory, he doesn't jump off the page as this unbelievable, charismatic Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Stone Cold, Rock, just on the lens. You just kind of look at Dory and go, now, wait a minute. That's at least what I did when I broke in. And before that, and going, now hold a minute. And then when you start to study his legacy, and I'm a numbers guy, I'm a business guy. And so in so many ways, and to me, you hit on the single most important, the single biggest part of Dory's legacy to me is this: 69 to 73. Obviously no social media, but in those days, late 60s, early 70s, they didn't so much bicycle a tape around. They had TVs in this market and TVs in this market and this. And that group of promoters that got together in the 40s and said, hey, let's create handshake agreements, and we're going to have a touring champion. And every promotion that's a part of the NWA across the country and in different Puerto Rico and New Zealand and Australia and different things, we're going to talk about this champion. And so when you have collectively, we'll call it 20 to 30 businessmen, not just promoters, but businessmen saying, okay, we want Dory to be our champion. He represents everything that we want as a professional wrestler. And the reason we're doing that is because we can make money with this guy. And how can we make money with this guy? We got to trust him. We got to believe in him. We got to know that when he comes in our territory, he's going to believe it better than when he found it. And what do you mean by that is, okay, this top babyface that's in this market, Dory's going to come in and make him to be a world beater. And by hook or crook, Dory's going to leave with the title and keep touring, which means it's good for business, because the next time Dory comes back, and if it's not Dory, it's NWA champion, the gate's going to be sold out, and the people are going to say, do you remember when the world champion came? So for Dory to hold the title the longest outside of Thez, and I put Thez in a different era, because to me, if you don't have the success of Dory Funk, you don't have the success of Harley Race. And if you don't have the success of Harley Race, you don't have the success of Ric Flair. And I think it kind of ends with Rick, because then you go on to the national companies and cable television. So when you really look at the baton being passed off and the nature of our industry, when the golden age of television from the 50s to the 60s, and it got rolling, and the NWA, when you really start looking at true box office attractions from the world title position, I think in so many ways, you got to give a boatload of credit, because the couple of champions before Dory and a couple of champions after Dory, Harley, this and this, they didn't hold it as long as Dory. So the Japan accolades, the international fame, everything. But I think the very top of Dory's legacy is he was the touring champion for the longest when it mattered the most.
May he rest in peace. What an icon. What a legend. Dory Funk Jr. passed away. And we're sure going to miss him, man. I encourage everybody to go check out his match with Jack Briscoe. I know it's one of the favorites of Mr. Layfield and Mr. Jerry Briscoe, and certainly Bruce Pritchard. It's available now. You can just type it into Facebook or Google. Of course, we don't own the footage, so we can't show it to you here. But they had a series of matches in 1974. But the ones from Japan are the ones that Bruce always goes back to. So if you want to check out some old school Dory Funk Jr., just throw that in your Google machine. Dory Funk Jr. and Jack Briscoe, Japan, 1974. You know, my grandfather used to say, there's no stress like money stress, son. Well, are you feeling that right now? Let me help. You've got a friend in the mortgage business in me, and I've helped families just like yours save hundreds of dollars a month. Seriously, we've helped listeners to this podcast save up to $800 a month. At SaveWithConrad.com, we routinely help our podcast listeners consolidate all of their high interest rate credit cards into just one much lower monthly payment. Would you like to lower your monthly payments? Wouldn't it be nice to skip your next 2 house payments? Are you finally ready for some breathing room and peace of mind? Start saving money today with your friend in the mortgage business, me, at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. And if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. You see, at SaveWithConrad.com, we don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. So find out how easy it is to finally get rid of your credit card debt once and for all, get a much lower monthly payment, and even skip your next 2 house payments. Let's find out how much money you can save for free at SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 1281698 and 203902. Equal housing lender.
SaveWithConrad.com. All right, Jeff, now it's time for one of our favorite segments on the show. Jeff, now it's time for one of our favorite segments on the show. We call it Wrestleworth. Think about it like Antique Roadshow for wrestling collectibles. If you've got an item that you've often wondered as it hangs in your man cave, your home office, hey, I wonder what that's worth. Well, send us your pictures, send us your email, send us your stories. We want to hear all about your items. We'll share it with our great close personal friend of the show, Tony from Heritage Auctions. The email is wrestleworth@gmail.com if you've got an item you'd like featured. But without further ado, let's welcome him in this week, our pal Tony from Heritage Auctions. Tony, things are really heating up. We're like less than 2 weeks away from the finale of the Summer Night or the Platinum Summer Sports Collection. The auction is live right now at ha.com. And we've got a lot of items from the Jeff Jarrett collection. And Jeff, you want to talk about something old school? How about 40 years in the making? The Jeff Jarrett match worn and signed rookie trunks. This is kind of cool. 1986. You've autographed it. You've got 3 times Hall of Famer. Are these old K&H trunks, or where are these from, Jeff?
They are straight out of, I don't think that the old man would be, well, maybe he would be proud. But I'm kind of full disclosure, Connie. Those are Jerry Jarrett's tights that he handed down to me right in the very beginning, because I'm fresh off the basketball court. And like, okay, man, wait, we didn't really plan this, Dad. What are we talking about? I'm supposed to be going back to class. No, son, you're wrestling Tony Falk. Okay, well, what am I wearing? Well, I have these. Take them. Oh, yeah. So they are actually, let's not put them in the same vein as the gold jacket. But, Tony, those are hand-me-down under tights. So there they go.
So you imagine, Jeff, that your dad probably wore those in 85? Because I know your dad was still wrestling a little bit in 85.
His kind of last couple of years, I mean, he really got out of the ring not long after he started, I'll call it full-time promoting and started his own company. But he had bits and pieces, and Tojo were his tag team partner. We're kind of the legendary, if you will, tag team around. But, the early 80s, it was rock and roll and Fabs and Hulk and Road Warriors and Savage and all those different folks. So he had really stepped out, and Tojo had taken the role of, Gato and Soto and Onita and the different Japanese tag teams that would come through. He would manage them, if you will. But there were certain spurts that he would do different kind of angles where he would step back in the ring. Not many, but when his kind of last little run, before I broke in, those were definitely his tights. And then, when I broke in, he said, "Here, kid, take these until you can get some ordered." So
super cool. I love to hear the history. Just so you know, you've got some added value in this auction because it is live at ha.com. It's being promoted as just Jeff Jarrett worn, but now Jerry Jarrett as well. Maybe from 85 or even older than that. As you take a look at these, Tony, what would you imagine that these wind up going for as part of the Jeff Jarrett collection?
The cool thing is this is a bookend piece, and the information just provided helps it a great deal.
Oh, wow.
These have, I believe, a four or $5,000 estimate. That makes it so much better when you can link it from Jerry Jarrett to Jeff Jarrett to his rookie trunks. And when I was writing these, the thing that really stood out to me is the wear on them. Outstanding wear. There are some loose threads, but that just shows that it was used for a long time. So when you can link Jerry Jarrett to his son Jeff to the beginning of his career, that's a big selling point of the trunks. So that information helps a great deal. And let's get that video up, because I think what it's going to do, it's going to really help the piece when you can link two iconic names together from the end of one career to the start of the next career. That's a really cool additive. And I know Jeff brought up the jacket, and that's a great point as well. You know, when you can link those two together like that, it's a big deal, and it's going to help it dramatically. I think it'll, I think it's going to exceed the estimate because of that, because when you can have those two wrestling careers go together like that, it's a big point. But again, and it shows wear, but it's not like, there's not rips and tears and that kind of thing. And Jeff, again, did a wonderful job signing it right on the front. So you could put that on a mannequin. It's going to look great.
Super cool. We've even got something from the more modern era. These are the 2010s. We're going to the more modern era of TNA. Jeff Jarrett ring-worn boots as a part of the Jeff Jarrett collection. I absolutely love these. You see them if you're watching at myworldpod.com. Looks like he's standing right there defending the 10 pounds of gold. I like these white boots with the silver trim, the iconic JJ, and they're autographed right there. Boots are obviously a big part of a lot of wrestling collections. These have been autographed as well as 3X HOF. Pretty cool stuff here, Jeff. Am I correct in assuming that not only did you wear this while you were NWA champion, but the photo we just saw, that makes me think that was at the Asylum in Nashville. Is that right?
Yes, and you guys have done, and I'll say you as in both of you, Conrad, you and your team, Tony, and you and your team, and kind of the research on all of it. But I think if we really dug in, Connie, that these are kind of, I think that, excuse me, the OG of the TNA. I'm pretty sure this is the boots that I started with June 19th, 2002. And so, yes, we were in the Asylum 6-8 weeks later, and then we stayed there for 2 years. So I think the research will probably show these are definitely the boots that I had. There's again, I'm learning real time here, Tony. But these particular pair of boots, I probably had those resold probably maybe 3 times. I know that what I'm looking at, and when they resold those, I found the right guy. He passed away, but I found the right guy. He made just some kick-ass soles that really, the crepe soles that are, customary for wrestling boots, that they don't create too much traction, because if you have too much traction, you can turn an ankle and all that, but it's enough on a wrestling mat to use, and you can slide and all that. And you'll kind of see on the back, on the left boot, left corner, and a little bit on the right, those were like really bad scuff marks that I got in the Asylum, because sometimes those railings. But anyway, when I signed these, it brought back memories, because I looked at, these patent leather boots, I never could get all the scuffs on them and get them looking, because sometimes the scuff were too deep. That 3X HOF, there's some deep scuffs there underneath that I never could get off back in the day. But these are probably one of, and maybe not even, I can't even think of another, but I might have had some silver ones, but these are kind of the OG TNA boots.
Holy cow, Jeff. I just looked it up since we've been recording. These are the boots you wore at the very first ever TNA show. I just saw you suplex Toby Keith suplex you, rather.
Okay.
So you want to talk about history, not only when you were the NWA champion, but the very first TNA show. And think about it, what an enduring legacy. I mean, the little engine that could, it's still going all these years later, but you wore them that night in Huntsville. So now it's celebrity attached, NWA title attached, but the very first TNA show, all of a sudden, this may be one of my favorite collectibles of the entire lot as a part of the Jeff Jarrett collection. Tony, what would you imagine the value of these would be?
The estimate is 10,000. I find it so interesting though that Jeff just made a great point. And as a collector, he mentioned trying to get the scuffs out, and in this instance, the scuffs really make the piece so much more collectible. And having those scuffs, collectors, enthusiasts love having those marks, those contact marks, and that's an interesting point that they tried to get them removed, but in all actuality, it's going to help the piece a great deal having those deep-seated scuffs on it. So interesting point, and I love that he got it redone 3 times. That just tells you, these weren't used for 2 shows and that's it. He used it for an extended period of time, which is a big deal, and I think that's going to help sell them. And I love the interlocking JJ in the back of them. Just adds a lot of aesthetics to it. And but again, those marks on it are going to help it a great deal. And anytime you can add information like you guys just did, that it was from the first TNA, that helps a great deal. And again, he signed them in a great spot. These will look outstanding in somebody's collection. But I love the use on them because it's not like they're torn apart. There's not rips and tears or anything like that. Phenomenal shape they're in, and these really fit the part, I would say.
Conrad, I'm going to jump in on that because literally, if you want to get a little bit on inside baseball, Conrad, I had a habit, doing the different things at shows. But when I would go into my dressing room to get dressed, most of the time my opponent I would ask him to kind of come in. And Tony, probably the amount of times, the routine that I had getting dressed, the amount of times that I've done, but before I got dressed, I would sit down, I get the boots, the tights, I get it all out. So I'm just making sure, oh shit, did I forget something? But I usually didn't. Anyway, packed all that. But I would get each boot, and I always had this rag stuffed down the boot. And before I would put them on, I would do my very best to get them all cleaned up, because when you wear white, you don't want dirty boots. But the amount of times I tried to clean my boots with my opponent in the room, chatting and everything, just about every show. I'd say every show. That was kind of my routine. So it cracks me up, man. So a scuff mark all these years later adds value. I'll take it, pal.
It's all live right now at ha.com. You can see the entire Jeff Jarrett collection. What we want you to do is when you go over there, there's a series of auctions listed at ha.com. We'll have a link for the description where you can see all of Jeff's collection available in today's show. You can just go to jeffjarrettcollection.com as well. But we're not done. We actually sat down with Double J a few months ago before we even knew we were going to be doing an auction. And we revisited some really great memorabilia from Jerry Jarrett that somehow all these years later, Jeff still has. I think it's a pretty cool story and can't wait for you guys to see more. We've got some fantastic footage to share with you. But Tony, I want to remind everybody that now is the time to go register for this auction. Yes, there's a couple of weeks still to go, but you don't want to miss out on your chance. Get registered right now so you can start following the things that are intriguing to you. As a reminder, there's like 48 or 49 different wrestling items. Things start at just a couple $100, and yes, they go up all the way to Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania 2 belt. There's something for every collector, for every size budget. If you're interested, go check a look right now at ha.com or check out Jeff's collection in the link below. Thanks for all the time today, Tony. We greatly appreciate it, man, and looking forward to having you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, Tony. Have a good week, my man.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you. And Jeff, before we get out of here, I want to make sure everybody knows all about Mars Men. We've got some fantastic footage that you've never seen before that we shot at Jeff's place. You often see Jeff's office from this perspective. We are going to see it a little differently momentarily as we track down some really historic items from his dad's collection. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about Mars Men. Mars Men is why Double J is looking and feeling as good as he is. You know, all of a sudden, a lot of us get to our mid-30s and it starts to feel like, as guys, things that used to be easy, well, they're not so easy anymore. Let's see if any of this sounds familiar. Are you exhausted all day long, but yet somehow you still can't fall asleep at night? Or maybe you realize your stomach feels like it's holding on to more fat. Maybe you're just a little more irritable or less motivated. Are you more mentally drained than you think you should be? Well, if none of that makes sense and you think you're doing everything right, I want you to know it's just that your body isn't working like it used to. Now, unfortunately, most guys think these are all separate problems, but the truth is they're all linked to the same root issue, high cortisol. Now, what is cortisol? Well, it's your body's stress hormone. It's only supposed to spike when you're under pressure and then come back down. But our modern life, all these screens, the work deadlines, the finances, they're keeping your cortisol jacked up 24/7. And when your cortisol stays high, your body actually prioritizes stress hormones over testosterone production. So the result is you're stressed that your body isn't creating enough testosterone. And that's why you keep your energy, your focus, and your sleep and your physical recovery suffering. Mars Men can help you with that. You see, most products only focus on stress reduction or testosterone production, but Mars Men is different because it uses natural ingredients to support healthy testosterone production, but also help you manage your cortisol levels better in your own body. Think about it. It's almost like, hey, feeling like you did in your 20s. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, Mars Men can help you feel that way and do it with no weird stimulants, no synthetic hormones. It's just a clean formula to help you feel like yourself again. The quality is legit. It's made right here in the USA. It's third-party tested. It's even available in GNC nationwide. But we want you to support the show, and we want you to get to feeling better. You need more mood stability. Maybe you want to feel less stressed. Maybe you're looking for more consistent natural energy. I want you to know Mars Men is not like drinking a cup of coffee. It's like a steadier sense of drive throughout the day. You're going to have improved sleep quality, better gym performance, better recovery. And best of all, it supports healthy T levels, your energy, and your stamina, all with a 90-day money-back guarantee. So what's that mean to you? It means there's no risk. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it and you get your money back. But over 91% of users report higher energy levels. Thousands of guys are feeling incredible results. Just check out the reviews on the website to see for yourself. And right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you use the checkout. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. But Jeff, we've been sitting on this footage for quite a while. We've featured the gold jacket. We're going to talk about it. And when we were there filming, something incredible happened. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Check out this footage and stay tuned. We'll see you next week right here on My World.
Peace.
So Jeff, we're back in my world, and we really are. We're still in your home here in Hendersonville on the lake, and I couldn't help but notice when I was here last time, you had what I thought may have been the iconic statue that everyone saw at the beginning of all those famous episodes of Memphis Wrestling on TV. But you tell me this isn't the exact trophy, but boy, it looks like it is.
You know, Conrad, and I got this piece down because, you know, this isn't the one, and there's multiples of that in the family. Of course, one's been broken and just kind of through the years, but this is one that, and I don't even know the right guys to come up with, but through the years, even the Philly bus trips, fans that aren't from this area, it's almost one of the things that it just jumps out at them. They're like, oh yeah, remember at the beginning of every episode, the tape trading days? Like, this was iconic, and the music played with it. But in this market, specifically in Nashville, you know, obviously it's one I grew up in, but this is the iconic, you know, the NBC Peacock, or all the different things that signified the beginning of the program, this statue. And you know, my grandmother, I've got a little white one over there that maybe we can show. It's one that she actually gave me. But just this kind of symbolized, and again, back into the days of the territory days, and especially the, you know, late 60s, early 70s, when it was presented as true sport. I think that's one of the things that this signified in the slow. And my dad always loved it, and I think he was spot on. It really, and again, I'm not the greatest historian, but whether it was Florida Championship or Charlotte or any of the other territories, I don't know how their show opened, but this was something that is iconic, and to this day, people will know, oh yeah, that's Tennessee wrestling. That's how the show started.
So what station would this air on in the Memphis market?
WMC TV, 1960 Union Avenue, but the NBC affiliate. It was something that you know, it's just how it started, you know. the credits would roll. I mean, from the other program, and then go to black. And then when it come up, was it Space Odyssey 2000? Is that the build of the show? But that music and this statue turning, and then it would dissolve into wrestling action, and then dissolve into the studio. But it's cool. It's a piece that to me, it's a part of Jarrett family wrestling.
It didn't exist in the Memphis television market before your dad, right? This is a Jerry Jarrettism.
This statue? Yes. And it's how he wanted to start his shows.
Is the statue, do I have it right, is it called The Wrestlers?
It's a Roman deal. Mac, you know better than I do, but I think you're on it.
And do you know who would have originally shot that? I know it was your dad's idea, but did he ever tell you who was his right-hand man who filmed it?
I got to think Mike Shields, because, Randy West came later, my dad's brother-in-law, my uncle, but I would think Mike Shields probably was the original shooter.
Any idea where the original one that was shot?
I asked my dad that, back through the years, and I think like the one that existed in that, who knows if that was even my dad's, I don't know. But I know that as a kid, going to my grandmother's house, there would be one. My dad had multiple ones throughout his house. It just kind of signified to me the business.
Was your dad sentimental about things? Did he keep anything or display anything besides that?
Was he sentimental about things? Sentimental about everything. I think that's where I get part of my being a pack rat, if you will. But he like I've referenced, he liked to hunt, and so trophy, whether it was a fish or a deer or a pheasant or a bobcat, whatever that. But in the wrestling business, there were certain things, and we've talked about them, but personal issues draw money. A simple little sign that tried to, the Peter Drucker, keep the main thing the main thing. That photo, that image that Lawler drew of, and they were all three selling in the picture. Fargo looked like he had been through war, and Tojo, Asian descent, and he looked like he had really been through it. My dad, dripping with sweat, but he would never ever put a photo of himself or something that may be smiling, laughing, cutting up. He always wanted to signify being in the fire, working. In a lot of ways, I did an interview recently, Conrad, and at the interview, the reporter goes, what would 58-year-old Jeff tell 18-year-old Jeff? And I think I may have told you this, but it kind of keeps ringing through my brain, and like, okay, where did all that come from? But I think just the sum total of my life experiences, being my dad, being a mentor, but also a dad, and also, me in recovery. But one thing that 58-year-old Jeff would tell 18-year-old Jeff is, hey, embrace, love, relish the valleys of life, because they are the ones that create the mountaintops. And I think my dad, like that photo, and I just, we've talked about it since we're, doing different things here at the house and really digging into things. That image that I can remember sitting in a chair. Conrad, the printer would be right behind me, because my dad, he'd print different things, printer right behind me, and all the stationery, and back in those days, the letterhead, and he would give me this, and anyway, all that, and then right there it would be the photo, and one of the pictures was a sellout at Mid-South Coliseum, and just kind of a black and white photo. But the other photo was Lawler, that Lawler wrote, that I just talked about. That was special. All three of them selling, just different images. So my dad was sentimental. He'd cry reading, and many times I saw him. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, and the poems, all that. He was very sentimental.
Do you know where those photos, or like that plaque, personal issues draw money? Do you know where that stuff wound up?
We can ask my stepmom. She may have, yeah, we can ask her. She may know.
You found something interesting that I know your dad was all about. He was all about business, and I can't believe you found this, but I feel like I'm holding in my hand a part of wrestling history. It's a check made from the Jarrett Welch Wrestling Company at an address of 110 The Landings in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And I take it this was your dad's old lake house. Is this the famous country music?
That's George Jones. And tell me why that. He bought that house. Let's just say the drywall man had to do quite a bit of patchwork.
That was BS George Jones.
Yes.
So Jerry Jarrett here receives a check, and it says in the memo portion, drawing of booking, and it's got his fancy signature on here. And boy, what a check this was. On August 18th, 1977, $10,288.99. In 2026 dollars, Jeff, that'd be greater than $56,000, I think. What a check that is. And this is, of course, from a bygone era. So for younger folks watching this, once upon a time, you had these gimmicks called checks, these rectangles that you would have to fill out and write and sign and take down to the bank, and then they would mail back to the owner of the account. So I guess your dad would receive these back from the bank in the mail, and somehow he kept it all these years?
Bookkeeping. And my cousin's the one who found these. Shout out Paul Neighbors Jr. His dad, my dad, grew up together, and this had to have come from 467 Cumberland Hills Drive. Those offices that moved over, but me and you, others may not kind of feel this, but it to me it really is. Citizens Bank of Hendersonville. He was on the board of the bank. We're talking 1977, a professional wrestling promoter out here, and those are real dollars. But it's how he ran his business. The name of this is one of his LLCs or Incs, Jarrett Welch Wrestling, and he paid to the order of Jerry Jarrett, but Jerry Jarrett signed it and Jerry Jarrett endorsed it. But the thing that to me that jumps off the page is it's for the month of his booking of one town, Memphis. That's because Jarrett Welch was Memphis, and they were doing something right.
I'm going to hand you another check. You may want to put the statue down, but I got another check here from May of the same year. So this is May 20th, 1977, and this is drawn from an account for Jarrett Wrestling Company. Again, the same address, but it doesn't say Jarrett Welch. So this is Jarrett Wrestling Company, but it says Memphis Profit 320-424. So from March 20th to April 24th of 1977, and it says R.E. Deal with Fuller. This is a check written to Jerry Jarrett, signed by Jerry Jarrett, endorsed by Jerry Jarrett, $7,320.62. It's interesting to learn about this business with the benefit of hindsight, because it does say, and prove once again, that's one town. But can you give any guess as to what Deal with Fuller means? Were they splitting the territory?
Man, Mark James, there's other historians but I know that, it's back in the days, handshakes and so Fuller would be Buddy Fuller, which is Robert Fuller's father. But back in the day, there was, and this is where it gets a little complicated, but Nick Goulis and Roy Welch were the promoters of this area, and my dad broke off. So this is where it gets complicated, and we've touched on it before. But Roy Welch's son was Edward Welch, but his wrestling name was Buddy Fuller. And so my dad and Buddy, and Roy, it gets complicated. Roy was my dad's mentor, but he passed away right during this era, 77. So I think it's an agreement that the son carried on, and they had an agreement. And my dad, when he broke away, because he tried, he really thought that he would be owners of the business with Nick and Roy. And when Nick reneged on the original deal, he said, "Okay, go do your thing. I'm going my way. You go your way." And they both ran Memphis, Tennessee the same week. There was one promotion in one side of the town and Cook Convention Center, and Nick Goulas kept running Mid-South Coliseum. But this is some type of agreement that he had with Buddy, probably honoring Roy's deal. And my dad, you know, I don't mean this out of any due respect, but I'm not sure what Buddy did actually as far as the contribution, other than him and my father and his father were partners.
I do want to ask you, this is another check from August 3rd, 1979, written to Jerry, and it's from the Jarrett Welch Wrestling account, once again, still with Citizens Bank in Hendersonville. It says booking draw July, but it's signed by Bob Wright.
Yep.
So the other two checks I handed you were signed by Jerry Jarrett. Tell us who Bob Wright was.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the checks that Jarrett Welch Wrestling Company. You ready for this, Conrad? In 1977, the check number was $2,255, so $2,255. Fast forward to right at 2 years later. The check number out of Jarrett Welch, $9,304.
7,000 checks in 2 years.
But Bob Wright, so my grandmother, Christine, was one of 5 kids. And she had a sister named Mary Catherine. So one of her sisters, so her brother-in-law was Bob. So my dad hired his uncle as the bookkeeper. And Bob was the bookkeeper that wrote all the checks. And so as my dad started the business and got a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, he brought on an accountant, bookkeeper. And Bob wrote the checks. And when I started, Bob was still writing checks. But yeah, he was the check writer and good penmanship. And there it is, Conrad, book and draw for July.
I'm curious about this one. This is from November 30th, 1977. And
77, okay.
yeah, so we're going back a little bit in time. This was, says booking draw in the memo portion is signed by Bob Wright, but the check is made payable to Edward Welch for $7,537.98. That's a lot of money in 1977 dollars.
So that's interesting. So this is November of 77, and it's to Edward Welch, right?
Yep.
May of 77, that check that we talked about to Jerry Jarrett was his cut, Jerry's cut of the Fuller deal. Edward Welch is Fuller. Edward Welch is Buddy Fuller. If memory serves me correctly, I think this is the year Roy died, the father. But Edward gets a check in November, book and draw out of Jarrett Welch Wrestling. That's interesting. Bob Wright signed it. So Bob signed the check in 77. So I guess from day one, see, it all runs together to me, but I guess from the day my dad started his own business, he brought Bob over because Bob signed this check in November. Interesting.
I've got 2 more checks here I want to hand you. These are both to Thomas Marlin. One from 77, June 10th of 77 for, that's a big one, $59.40. And a friend of mine told me I can look at it all I want, it ain't going to get no bigger.
That's right.
And then there's one from August 4th, 1979 for $274. Talk to me about Thomas Marlin's checks.
But so, Conrad, just to put it in context, a $60 check in 77 is $250, $260 today?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
I think old Thomas did well for himself because that's a one-night refereeing. Thomas, Eddie Marlin, so that's my stepmom's father, so it's my grandfather. But Eddie broke into the business, but when he broke in, he worked for the tire company, Gates Rubber Company, and his little brother Thomas worked for the phone company. And so they were both wrestlers in the territory for working for Nick Goulas. And when my dad branched out onto his own, Thomas was well into his, I believe he was still at the phone company, but he became tax assessor of Sumner County, Eddie Marlin was still working at the rubber company. His daughter had married my dad, and then Eddie went from retiring from the rubber company or leaving the rubber company to not just wrestling, but starting to promote for my dad. He went to work for my dad. So the father-in-law went to work for the son-in-law, but through that whole process, Thomas had his career going. But my dad wanted to basically create this wrestling character, if you will, that basically, remember old Buford Pussler?
Oh yeah.
Sheriff, walking tall, long arm of the law. My dad wanted to create a referee that, in the weekly episodic nature of professional wrestling, you got to put the heels over. You got to build the heat. You got to build the episodic nature. You got to want to make sure that the people want to see the heels get their ass kicked. As a part of that whole story, a lot of times the referees that work weekly, the fans begin to get a little irritated at them, that them damn referees, you need glasses, you turn around, just the cheating of the heels. And sometimes that can build. And the easy way to kind of build that, but also not take too much heat off of to convince the people that they're going to see a fair fight, but also to kind of not take too much heat off the heels, is you bring in a special referee that isn't there to kick ass, but he's going to rule the match right. Thomas played that role. He would come in occasionally, and when Lawler needed, or the top babyface needed a referee that wasn't going to screw around and call it like they saw it, essentially signifying to the consumer the babyface is going to win. Thomas played that role. So Thomas, he got paid $250 referee one night. My gut tells me $274. He probably made 2 or 3 shots, because that's, what's that, a little over $1,000. He probably refereed 2 or 3 times to get that. But this really, it's family. Well, yeah, there it is. It says on the Thomas Martin, Louisville, 6-7. So June 7th of 77, he got paid essentially in $9, $260 to referee one match.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And then this other one, I didn't even catch this, the week of 8-2. So he probably refereed 3 times, 4 times.
Well, we're not done taking
That's
a trip
great.
down memory lane, looking at some of the Jerry Jarrett memorabilia. I see over your shoulder we've got something special. We're going to talk about it right after this. So, Jeff, I see you reaching for a ring jacket, it looks like. I mean, I don't know if this is for the Rockettes, but I take it, since we're talking about your dad today, that this is one of your dad's ring jackets from way back when?
Conrad, can you imagine this? Now, look, people watching this today probably crack up. Oh, my God, 85. But can you imagine a kid right off the basketball court? He doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. He's going to start wrestling. And, here's some shorts and tights and this and that. Oh, and I've got a jacket I want you to start wearing. And it's this. Is this called LeMay or something? I don't know. But anyway, this is a ring jacket that my dad, I'll never forget it. He brought down, he said, this is what I want you to start wearing. And I was just like, do what? But yeah, this is one of my dad's ring jackets that he first gave me because he wanted me to wear it. But, obviously it's not more special today. But I'm a pack rat.
So sure, is that the jacket?
Holy crap.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's crazy, Conrad.
It's pretty amazing
that
you have that. That photo of your dad wearing that jacket was pretty iconic. I mean, there were lots of tribute photos remembering your dad wearing that jacket just in black and white form. So I kind of wonder, I know this sounds silly, but do you know, beyond him handing it down to you, do you know if this was associated with any specific matches or memories in your dad's career?
Mark James, Jim Cornette, Louisville wrestling historians, I feel like I've seen it over and over and over, some of that grainy footage. I don't know if he had it on the scaffold match, walk into the ring against Don Green, and for the time, in this day and age, it wouldn't hit the 5-star meter, but to do a scaffold match,
the first one,
the very first one, and the drama, and you can hear the people screaming and yelling and the anticipation. I know I've seen tons of photos of my dad in it, and so yeah, it's definitely special.
What era do you think your dad would have worn that? I mean, if you had to guess.
I want to say late 70s, early 80s.
And you started wearing this, of course, in 86?
Yes.
Yeah. And the other jacket that we see here.
Crazy.
Tell us about this
I mean, I couldn't remember, like, to me, Conrad, when you have this is a little, for me, my taste was like, what the hell is this? But I got it. But when he kind of brought this down, a couple of weeks later, I was like, okay, for whatever reason, even though it's got the pink stars on that, it just kind of had a different feel for it. And he's like, hey, here's another ring jacket. And so, you know, it's there's pictures of him and Tojo in this. He wore this, you know, for a while, for several years. But these were two of his jackets that he gave me that, you know, shit, Conrad. 50 years old, but they're pretty damn special.
Yeah, I would say so. I know this sounds silly, but do you think you could still wear this?
You mean do?
You want to try a little fat guy and a little coat?
I was going to say,
Chris Farley action?
I was going to say a little Chris Farley action. It's going to be interesting.
By the way, you know, it's awfully dark footage, but on that first scaffold match, it does look like your dad may have actually been wearing the gold jacket. Which,
I think so.
Which is kind of interesting.
All right, Chris Farley. Now, I'll say this, 180-pound Jeff, it felt really big on me. It was crazy. 200-pound Jeff, because you know, as I put it on, I don't even know if I tried that, but anyway. Now, 225, let's see. Hey! No, I'm going to tear it.
Don't tear it, don't tear it.
I'm going to tear it, so. Sorry, folks. But anyway, funny.
I mean, remind everybody who maybe was only a fan of your career, your dad had a nickname in the business.
He did. My dad's nickname, and I always would crack up at that because as dad at home, you know, you never heard that, but boy, he would, Lawler and the different guys and Dundee, but his nickname was Little Man. And he kind of beamed with that because, you know, the Little Man complex, I don't really think he liked to pride himself, like that whole story that was told on Dark Side when the guy jumped him in Memphis Ring, he liked to kill him and all that. You know, I think my dad was one of those guys that you push him, you're going to find out just what a little man he was. But he liked to be the, for the most part, he kind of wore the badge of the promoter that, again, his whole persona, his whole deal was, and when I kind of look at the career, that he was the top star. And when I look at, you know, a lot of times I'm criticized, oh, you were champion this, you were champion that. Well, when I got Kurt on board, those days were gone. Ironically, you look at my dad's career, he had, you know, week after week after week after week. Fargo didn't come with him. He was the top baby face, but more or less kind of the boy next door. But as soon as he got Lawler into a place that he was the top dog, my dad retired. He got out and ran the business. I mean, he more or less retired from full-time wrestling when he had his star in place. So our careers, in a way, paralleled that.
I think it's interesting you mentioned the guy who attacked your dad. That's Mario Galinto, right?
Yeah.
Did your dad ever tell you about that story?
Bits and pieces through the years, but tell you what, there were different Franks, like Frank Morrell, Dundee, Lawler, multiple times would tell bits and pieces. There were different folks that are around and the legend and all that, but you know, Lawler, one night, some small spot show, and a guy came in and you can just kind of hear it, and I'm just peripheral on this, and hey, remember
Give some context. You're saying a guy came in. Mario Galento was an in-ring performer. He was a wrestler. He wasn't just a fan.
No. Oh, no. It was, and look, I'll say it right now. Go out of your way to watch The Dark Side, Tales of the Territory. My bad. That episode that went into detail on that, because Roy Welch, his mentor, was getting dementia, and Nick Goulas, and it was out for blood. The story goes that they said, all right, we got to control this little guy, as in little man. We got to put him in his place. He's breaking off, because he was Roy's booker. He was the creative genius running the show. He was doing this and doing that, and also the top babyface star. And they were going to kind of silence him. And they, a couple of different times, but that episode goes into detail, and they did a great job on the timeline. But they sent a guy into TV, on live TV, on Memphis TV, to mess him up, and that's where it's different. But they not only wanted to beat him up, they wanted to beat him up on live TV to hurt his drawing ability. And Mario was sent in there by Roy, story goes, the guys that we just talked about, the check. And that didn't turn out too good. My old man, he knew he was fighting for his life, and Mario was beat to death and bloodied and stitches and all that, and we never heard from him again. So that whole little man, I don't know exactly where you were going with it, but yeah. Crazy story.
Crazy story indeed. I love that we got to see some of your dad's ring jackets.
But I was when Lawler talked about that story to get guys over in West Tennessee that were a part of a little spot show 20 years later, when he started telling that story, you could kind of tell that there was a level of respect that Jerry will fight to his death for his business. And Lawler telling it meant more to me than anything. The way he told that, wasn't telling to me, but was telling it to two or three guys, that it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation I got to eavesdrop on.
Do you have any other
ring
worn memorabilia? I see under the bag here.
Now look, because I'm a pack rat, and there's all kind of different colors with the JJ on it, and first year.
So these are your dad's?
These are mine. These tights, and I'll get them out real quick, because I just chuckle, and Conrad, you had a look on your face, and here we go, Dylan and others, and Karen, when she went through this, and we've organized it over the last 12 months, she's like, "What in the hell? You've saved everything." So blue and green and royal and orange and yellow and red, but. So I got he told me get all these made, and of course, what do? I go and get.
Did you get these from K&H?
K&H.
Tell everybody about K&H.
K&H is something. B&A Boots, Bill Ash Boots over in Arkansas, is where all the guys used to order their boots. But also K&H, Carl and Hildegard, is where you went online and they made wrestling tights. It was like nowadays seamstresses travel with AEW or.
Well, hang on, you said go online. You couldn't go online back then for K&H.
Get on the line.
Yeah, on the phone.
Get on the phone, yes, and call and describe, and you would have to mail them your orders. And the boots you could draw out, but yeah, online. Well, that's a fraud. Anyway, but you had to draw out, well, you could pick colors, but I think they had sizes, but you'd all custom make them. So these are all, man, I ain't trying these on, Conrad, no matter what you say.
No, I don't need that. Thank you.
But anyway, those are all those tights. But as me and Karen were kind of going through everything, and this in the last year, when I looked at all that and we're organized, and I'm talking about this is day one. But if you want to go back to day one, like, hey, what do I have of Dad's? Let me kind of separate that out. And Conrad, here I am again, 18 years old, and he's setting me up, and here's boots, and here's jackets, and he wasn't a knee pad guy, so I got to get me knee pads, all this, ring jackets and all that. But he said, "Oh man, you got to wear undertights." I'm like, "Yeah, in basketball you wear a jock strap, or whatever it may be." He said, "But you got to wear undertights." What undertights, Conrad? And I still have them. Now this is crazy. This is Jerry Jarrett's undertights.
Oh, wow. So what year do you think he had those made?
It had to be 70s. I mean, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. And we've joked about T-backs and vendettas and all that kind of stuff, but this is what we wore back in the day. It's crazy, dude. It is. But these are his that he gave me, and he had tons of them. And he's like, here, take these.
Jerry Jarrett, ring-worn undertrunks.
Undertrunks.
Are you saving those so Cody can wear them under his first match?
Stop. It is bizarre, though, man. It is just so bizarre.
It's pretty cool that you've got that. I mean, the only thing that would be cooler would be if you had actual tights or
Buddy,
maybe boots.
Do I have a surprise for you?
Oh, you've got a pair of the tights? That's cool. Let's see.
Nope, I've got a pair. No, I got a surprise for you.
Okay, you
just hang on because you're going through it, but I have got a surprise for you. I knew we were doing kind of Jerry Jarrett memorabilia. Conrad, I got a call in November of 25.
Okay.
3 or 4 months ago. Let me just play you this voicemail, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Jeff Jarrett, this is Michael Monroe Stevens. Been trying to get in touch with you. I have something that belongs to you, and I'm holding on to it until I see you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Well, boy, that sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it?
That's how he left it. Now, this guy, let's go.
I have something that belongs. Are we going to go pick up a kilo? What are we thinking of here? I have something that belongs to you. This sounds like a setup, Jeff.
Buddy, what do you think I thought? I have not talked to Michael.
Oh, you know this person.
Well, I can take you by fences we built together. I can take you by a hunting spot we went to.
So when's the last time you talked to him?
It's got to... His father worked for my father, but his father passed away during COVID. But I still think I haven't talked to him in at least 30 years.
So this isn't a person who was programmed in your phone at all?
No.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and tell you now. I said, Michael, how did you get my number? I don't even want to tell you online how he did it. He said, I found it. I said, and you just cold call me? He said, well, what else am I supposed to do? And I said, and where do you live? Cage's Bend, Conrad. We're going to be from my house to his house in 15 minutes. I had no idea. And his mom's going to be there.
Want to grow your business with the power of podcast advertising? Reach loyal, engaged audiences through trusted host endorsements across the Podcast Heat Network. To learn more about advertising opportunities, email dave@podcastheat.com or visit our website at podcastheat.com.
So Jeff, we've just pulled out of Casa de Jarrett, and you tell me that we're going to see somebody. Who are we going to see right now?
Man, oh man. So we passed back there when my dad moved to the big house. It was a 100-acre farm and horses and cows and all kinds of stuff. But also just pulling rings and everything. He had a guy that worked for him named Bobby Monroe. And Bobby was a Vietnam vet, and his job in Vietnam, they would fly him and a bulldozer in and drop him, and so he'd be the first one in, and he'd have to cut the airstrips. So he had a rough time over there, but man, he seldom talked about it, but you knew he had some effects from it. But man, heart of gold. And if you saw Bobby, you saw his dog, and you saw his pickup. We built fences together. My dad thought it'd be a good experience for me to be around a guy like Bobby and his son Michael. We again worked on farms together, and before I got in the business, Bobby and his son Michael, we did all kind of stuff together as far as work stuff. But Bobby was one of my dad's right-hand men and salt of the earth. He passed away during COVID in 2021, and Michael called me in those voicemails and wanted to get in touch with me, and it's bizarre, but 3 years to the day, and he left me voicemails, And I don't respond to voicemails, Conrad, but 3 years to the day that my dad passed away, he texted me finally and said, hey, I got something for you. And we went back and forth, and I wanted to make sure I knew who it was. And I said, okay, I'll call you when I get out of the meeting. And crazy as it is, Conrad, I called him and he told me what he had for me, and I said, I'll be there. I'll coordinate it. And then you had this idea. All right, man, this is it. You ain't gonna believe it. I'm telling you, you ain't gonna believe it. Come on. Bobby, you were expecting me.
Hello. Look what I got.
You told me.
How long has it been since you seen these?
God. Look.
Jerry J.
Unbelievable. His boots. We've talked about his ring jackets today, his under tights.
Really?
What's the story? How'd y'all have them?
My dad borrowed them from Mr. Jerry because he didn't have the money to buy wrestling boots, so he borrowed from Mr. Jerry. And I think he had.
You kept him from wrestling. You said no wrestling, right, Miss Linda?
That's right.
Give me a hug.
That's right.
Your dad got them back together.
Your dad is the one got us back together.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, how long has it been since we've seen each other? 30 years?
30 years, Mom.
That's right. You had enough of him.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And Dad said,
Dad said, you think you need to get Miss Linda back?
he told him, right?
Mm-hmm. He told him that.
And it's been,
And he pushed us to get together, and he was best man at our wedding.
Yeah.
The second wedding.
and you were connecting the dots because you text me. I was telling Conrad, you text me, it's still in my phone. Voicemail. November the 2nd of 2025 last year. Then the next day you called, and I was busy, and I didn't tell me, you know this now.
Yeah.
I don't check voicemails, never. I'm a text guy, never. Then all of a sudden you text.
On the 3rd anniversary of your dad's passing, I finally got through with a text. And you was in a meeting, and you texted me that.
February 14th, and I said, I'm in a meeting, yes. See, text works. You got to text me if you want to get down to it. Unbelievable. All right, what you got? I know you, because you said you got, yes, see, there you go. Let me see.
Dad.
That's the program.
Uh-huh.
Your dad had this, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's your grandma.
Yep. Miss Teeny, Tommy Gilbert, Tojo. Oh God, all of them. You remember them?
Yeah, I remember.
This is the whole program. Got a few autographs in here. Oh, hold on, what's this? Oh, that's Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. His funeral thing.
What do you got?
He wanted this.
Oh,
This is what he looked like when he wrestled. Your dad and Tojo told him that he moved to and looked like Sputnik.
yep.
So they named him Sputnik Monroe Jr. and he had the blonde streak. That cost a lot of bar fights. He was barred out of 47 bars.
Yes. On the way out here, we drove by the house, and the wood fence that we built that summer dug all them holes.
I helped with that.
That's what it mean. I was telling them. Yeah, and oh man, Bobby would say, "Son, you've had enough breaks." Because he would just keep digging and keep digging and keep digging and filling the holes. And that dog. He'd jump up in the back of that pickup truck. He took him everywhere. Mm-hmm. What was his name, the dog?
Rebel.
Amazing.
Best friend.
So Jeff, I'm holding these boots, man. These things have seen some action. I mean, the paint is chipping off in a major way. There's no way these are from the 80s. When do you think these boots were first made, Jeff?
Oh, got to be 70s. And Conrad, as we're pulling off, Miss Linda is texting me the photos.
Oh wow.
I don't know if you could hear her clearly, but I think the boots they're definitely 70s. But you know, my dad's handwriting in there, and it's funny, Jerry J. And the just, but
Yeah,
you know,
Jeff Jarrett.
yeah, and you, I don't know if you heard Michael say that, you know, his dad couldn't afford boots, and my dad decided to give him that pair, and Bobby was a rough customer. He liked his beer, and ran wild, and him and Linda split up for a while, and I'll make sure I'm going the right way and get out of here. They live back in here, but my dad went to Bobby and kind of figured out, all right, bud, either you got to quit drinking or you get back with Linda. But no, he made it a point. He wanted them back together, so he told Bobby you better go get Miss Linda back, and Bobby did, and I'm telling you, Bobby lived a long, just great life, and Linda just brought that up, that my dad made Bobby say, go get back with Miss Linda, and Linda talked about that in those pictures. Pretty cool.
In a weird way, do you feel more connected to your dad now than you ever have at any other point in your life?
The clarity, the gratitude, the appreciation, understanding, no doubt, Conrad. I mean, no doubt.
How much of that is from just age and maturity, and how much of that is from what you've learned in recovery?
That's a good question, because, you know, I don't know any different.
Right.
Having a clear head, well, I wouldn't be here today, that's for sure, but I certainly wouldn't have the understanding that I have. Like a Sunday afternoon, me getting the opportunity to get given, you know, Michael said they got those boots after, they didn't even know they had them, didn't even remember they had them, and he's like, I got to get those to Jeff. That's special.
It is.
I mean, it just really is. So, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand, but man, are you kidding me?
So, Jeff, where are we headed now?
Well, and yeah, this stop was the one that you weren't planning on, and I certainly wasn't planning on a couple of months ago, but we are headed out. I called my mom, my stepmom, and told her about this, and she said, yeah, why don't you come out? I said, because their house, she still has my dad's office, and so, you know, we've done an episode on wrestling offices and you know, talked about all that, but as far as memorabilia, she said, I've got a special piece that I'd like to discuss, so I thought that would be pretty cool to be kind of our last stop.
Okay, so we're going to your dad's old place.
Yep.
Deborah!
Yeah, come
I told you. You ain't gonna believe it.
What have you got? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Jerry Jarrett. Lord, how many times has he said? And
the shoe polish is what I crack up.
Coated. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh.
Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Look how little.
He's a worse pack rat than me. I've still got under tights I showed on the podcast that he gave me. Yeah. I ordered my own tights, but he gave me under tights. His high school football jersey.
And Papa.
Eddie Marlin's ring jacket.
Mm-hmm. Papa's, you know.
That is.
I offered it to Jason. He does not want it.
I gotta look.
Mm-hmm. I think my grandmother made that jacket for Daddy.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Wow. Refresh, what's the name of the horse?
Third Q.
Third Q. That's the one that bucked him off.
Yes, broke his arm.
Broke his arm, and he was out for a while.
And we just got married. Yes, we just got, and he had to have his arm taped to his body for months.
It's bad.
It was a bad break.
Yeah. Beautiful horse.
And I went to, he just knew I was the next Loretta Lynn.
Look at that hat.
So we go to a Western store, and that was all royal blue.
Oh, wow. Wow. And then this is when that house opened.
Yeah, 1982.
We just talked about it on 106 acres.
The ballroom.
There's the ballroom, yeah. There's the game room.
Yeah, that's where you lived for a while.
Yep, there's the fence.
Yeah.
And then this was the grand opening.
Yeah. With the Nashville Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah. Look,
Chamber.
Stan and Steve in the picture. Bobby Bear.
I think there's Paula and Jerry in there too.
Yep. Cars, look at that. Crazy.
And see, out at the fair.
Now, what was this? Hold on.
That was
Symphony.
that was the invitation to this.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
And Jerry had a birthday coming up, so I hire a photographer
For where?
and play like Nashville Coliseum.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
And play like they're just talking about him, blah blah blah. And then I fixed that for his birthday. With the jacket.
With the jacket.
And then I made this. This is on the back of his book. As we were dating, I made decoupage.
Look at that. Look at that bad boy.
Oh,
That's
man.
great.
Okay, Jeff, come on. It's in here.
Oh.
In his office.
Now, you probably don't know this, but earlier we've been talking about my wrestling offices, his wrestling offices.
Yeah.
We've talked about the statue. This is Dad's last office.
This is his last office. You know, pictures, everything is just how he left it.
Wow.
I've not gotten rid of anything.
Look at the Hawaiian flash, that jacket.
Yep.
The big house.
The big house.
The boat.
Yep.
The Hatteras. The Florida house.
Yep. And I still have framed a huge article. See that picture of Jerry over there by the fence?
That's the one that was in the Tennessean.
Yes, I've got that framed back here. About a high school.
Yep, his kid. Yeah, I remember it.
And here is what I want you to see. That's something.
You still got this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Bless his heart.
That was his favorite. And we joked with him, it was the windbreaker.
It was a windbreaker. I know, and he loved it.
Yeah.
He loved these colors.
But that's that.
Yeah, that's that 8x10 picture. And he told me, with that picture, he said, now, Deborah, this is a good picture of me. Because, you know, he was proud of himself.
Oh, you think? No.
Yeah. And he said, when I die, I probably won't look this good. So sit this right beside my couch.
No, he did.
Yes, he did.
This photo?
That photo. That's why it's sitting up there.
That's good.
He loved it. He loved it.
That's good.
So, and I've even got, I think it's still in here. Tojo's.
Holy Conrad! A Tojo kendo stick.
Yeah. Yep.
That is classic.
Yep.
The team.
That was the team.
It's a Tojo, I'll call it a rain jacket. Kimono, I think is the proper name that he would say. Kojo and his wooden shoes.
Yeah. And Jerry had his wooden shoes forever and gave them to Paul Neighbors.
Did he really?
I guess Paul Jr.'s got them.
Yep.
Because I bet Paul Jr.'s got that other set of shoes.
Yeah, this is crazy that Dad would even keep this.
Oh, yeah.
I joked with him. I'm like, what the hell do you want me to do? So a fan, you see the kind of how I wrote on it. It was TNA Hall of Fame 15, WWE Hall of Fame 18. So it was in 19. I did a little small show here right down the road, and a fan gave him a guitar. My dad had a guitar, and he said, hey, son, I want you to sign this. I said, I ain't signing no guitar for you. And he said, yeah, the hell you ain't. So I signed it to Dad, love Jeff Jarrett, so he wanted it. And then I said, instead of ain't I great, I said, ain't you great. And so that's how I at least personalize it to him.
There won't be another. There just won't be another Jerry.
No.